Good morning, Keller Williams. This is Ryan Yarbrough, your Regional Technology Director for the South Florida region, and I am here for Take Command, and we are in June. Can you believe we're already in June? We are going to be talking today about photography and staging, and we're going to start the very first session off with Mr. Taylor Anderson. So I'm going to bring him on. Taylor, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Ryan. Doing well.
Taylor, where are you from?
Originally Fort Lauderdale area, and then moved up to the Tampa Bay area for school in 2010, and decided to establish myself here.
Nice. So you are a photographer, correct?
That's correct.
Is that the correct term? Is there any other? I know there's real estate agent, there's realtor.
Photographer, videographer, stager, planner, scheduler. I do it all.
You do it all. Okay, great. So I didn't know you did staging as well.
Well, you get to a
It just comes
property,
with
if
it.
something's out of place, you gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta organize it so that it looks right in the images.
Right. Uh, I purposely wanted to have a photographer come on first because we're going to have two other sessions where we're going to have stagers come on and talk. The second session is going to be the psychology of staging, and then the third session is going to be use advanced staging techniques and using digital staging and stuff like that. Um, so I want a photographer's view on things that could happen during or before you even get the photography done. So we want to talk about some things that agents could do to help with that or to maybe get the property in this best light. So we're going to be having those kind of discussions today. And let's take a look real quick here. I've got a bunch of questions I've prepared ahead of time to make sure that we stay on track and we can get through all this in the allotted time that we have. We're going to do about 40 minutes of questions and then take some questions at the end. So we are streaming live right now to YouTube and to Facebook. And I would love it if any of you guys who are on either of those platforms would please feel free to put comments and stuff into the comment section, and we will come back to those and get those up on the screen if you have any comments. We love all the likes too, so thank you for the likes that are coming in. Um, Again, my name is Ryan Yarbrough, and we have Taylor Anderson here, and he is with Firelight Photography, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so you can find them at firelightimages.com, and you can also, if you're not on our site, you can go to the South Florida region, kwsouthfloridaregion.com, and find us there. So first of all, what drew you to specialize directly in real estate for photography?
So in the beginning, I've always had interest in architecture and then just photography in general. I've been doing it since like middle school, high school, just as a hobby. But when it came to real estate photography, I kind of just fell into it. I had a mentor that I shadowed for a while, and I learned a lot from him. And it just kind of evolved over time, and it grew on me, and I really did. I fell in love with it, and it's rewarding.
Yeah, I can understand that. I as well love architecture. It's one of the things I love about real estate is going and seeing properties, seeing different designs. So I can completely relate to that. Is there anything in particular that really draws you in and makes you excited to get up and go take pictures of homes?
Yeah. Well, every day is something different. So you're always walking into a different situation. Although I have photographed some houses multiple times on occasion, but it's always something different. You're always working with different light and different angles, different staging. Uh, it's uh, it's a way. So in real estate photography, you kind of have like a manual to go by. You have your basic shots that you need to get, um, but there's also room to be creative and make your images stand out for the listing or whatever you're photographing. So uh, it's exciting and uh, I I enjoy it.
You said that you photographed some properties multiple times. Is that because of the fact that you need to get back out there and get better pictures, or is that just because the property's hitting the market that many times?
Well, sometimes the agent may need some more content, but also it has happened where we've went out, we photographed one property with one agent, and then another agent called us, you know, not connected at all, and had us come out and photograph it again. And we step in usually, we're like, wait a minute, we've been here before. So that has happened a few times, and it's surprising because in the Tampa Bay area where I'm located, there's quite a few properties out here.
Yeah, we got quite a few out here. And just as a disclosure, I actually exclusively use Firelight images, and I've used them for quite a long time. Um, one of the reasons I had you guys come on is because you guys do photograph in more than just the Tampa Bay area. You guys are down in Fort Lauderdale, right? Well, right.
Th- That's correct. We are in the Fort Lauderdale area, and we are also in Asheville, North Carolina, as well as the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater area too.
Right. I mean, when I started using you guys, Adam was on here, and I used him quite a bit. And I guess he moved to North Carolina.
That's correct. Yeah, he's up there. He started up the branch up there, and it's growing. He's got a team under him up there now, and he's really making a name for himself, and his content's definitely shining up there. So
And are you guys looking to expand anymore?
we are. We actually would love to get into the Orlando area. Uh,
Okay.
we we see that there's a lot of potential out there. We do receive requests now, but it's difficult for us to manage what we have going on here in our regular service area to be able to get all the way out to Orlando sometimes. But on occasion, we have made the trip when it's needed and when we have availability. So, but Orlando is definitely a priority to get over there.
What about Miami? Do you guys go down as far as Miami from the Fort Lauderdale office?
Yeah, we do. Not as often, but the photographer down there, Anthony Ruiz, he actually started down in Miami because that's where he was located at first. Since then, he has moved up more north on the East Coast where he's living, but he still has some great connections down there in the Miami area, and he does travel. So
Do you have an idea of how far north you guys go up?
it all depends on the job. If the job is big enough and we do have the availability, we could make the trip as long as there's good planning and communication and everything. But it's not often though that we travel more than 2 hours to get somewhere. So
Okay. So Cocoa Beach would probably be pushing it then.
it's pushing it, but like I said,
Right job.
if the job calls for it, we'll try to do what we can.
Good to know. All right. So let's get into the role of photography when it comes to listings. Why is high quality photo so crucial in real estate listings currently?
So to begin with, um, it's a digital world now. So everyone's online on their phones, looking at the new listings coming up, um, and you want to stand out amongst the rest. Um, I think it's really important that the agents also consider their branding, the images and the content that they provide their clients when selling a home, for instance, it's very important. And if you want to stand out, professional photography, videography, um, any kind of content, um, it's important to make that part of your brand and stand out. So.
And how can great photos of property increase the sales price? Is there any correlation there?
Yeah, I would say more eyes, more views. You know, if your images stand out, if your listing stands out, um, I think that that correlates, and it's there's so much content out there nowadays too. So
Yeah.
really, to stand out amongst the rest, you have to put in a little extra effort. So
And it's really the first experience they have with it. It's like their first date with that property is it's almost like the Tinder world right there, where they're going on and seeing their properties. They see it there first, right?
yeah, absolutely. And what we're finding is a lot of people for instance, one service that we offer is twilight photography. So instead of just a regular front daytime exterior, what people do nowadays is they like to add the twilight photography option onto their listing so that it stands out again amongst the plethora of other listings that you're scrolling through. You may stop and stare for an extra second, may be interested and curious to see what the inside looks like and the rest of the property looks like. So yeah, it's important.
You use a little bit of a different process because I see a lot of agents they just use a digital version of it. You guys actually go out and do it during those twilight hours, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we offer, a real twilight photography session as one of our services. We also offer a virtual twilight. The virtual twilight is a somewhat new option that we've been offering just because the editing software and techniques have also evolved over time, which makes it easier for us to provide these services. So we've been taking advantage of the new technology and the new techniques and everything to try to offer more to our clients.
Which one do you prefer?
Oh, definitely, you know, like civil twilight, photographing it during sunset. It's the real deal, and
Yeah.
it's besides the long drive home during the summers, when it's like 9 p.m. Other than that, it's exciting because you get to see your your um, your photography come to life and really stand out. So, yeah.
I uh, I have to agree. I think there's a huge difference, in my opinion, between the real photography work of the twilight photo or the digital. The digital just kind of, I don't know, it has almost like I would say like a plastic look. It just doesn't seem real. Whereas the real twilight, it just everything's enveloping it within that home. Like you're getting that picture of that home, then that light is everywhere. Whereas the other ones, it's just kind of flat and matte in the background. I don't know. Maybe it's
Hmm.
just the versions I've seen, but I tend to like those a little bit better. And it does do exactly like that. Sometimes we call it the scroll stopper when you're sitting there scrolling through properties and it makes you stop for a moment to kind of look at that one a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when you're doing those type of photographs, is there anything that the agents could do that would make those photos stand out a little bit more?
For Twilight, yeah. One main thing is make sure all the landscaping lighting is working prior. Make sure there's no timers, or if there are timers, make sure that they're going to be timed correctly on the lights, so that they're going to kick on at the right time. You know, it all goes down to a lot of the basics too. Just make sure the driveway is clear of vehicles, make sure there's no trash cans on the side of the house. Open up the blinds, put on all the lights on the interior, at least the lights that are facing out towards the windows, as well as the backyard, if we're photographing that. You want the interior of the house to be bright and be illuminated so that you can see that from the outside. And just, sometimes you got to grab a leaf blower. Sometimes you have to sweep the front door path, so it's the little things like that that really do make a difference and makes the entire process go a lot smoother.
You mentioned landscape lighting. Is that something that, if it's not there, that does definitely help to add? I mean, that's probably not a very expensive thing to add.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. And what we do when there is landscape lighting, we try to really, um, when there is landscape lighting, we try to emphasize that. And we use uh, flash photography to do so. Um, we use a light that actually lights up the front of the house, as well as the landscape lighting and the landscaping itself too. And it really makes the entire image pop. We have a manual editing process that we go through to put all that together. So really, our twilight photography, we set up on a tripod. We take one angle, but we're taking 15, 20 different images. And those are all different layers in Photoshop, and we blend them all together to create a final product. So it's not as simple as just setting up on a tripod and taking a few images, and then you're done. Um, when uh, when you are uh, when you request this service, we go through our techniques that we've kind of curated over time, and really put something nice together. We do our best. But sometimes, taking twilight photography during sunset hours isn't always an option. Whether it's because the house is occupied, it's just not available. Time is of the essence. So that's one reason why we have added the virtual twilight as an option for those clients who, maybe just don't have the time, or it's just not an option. But they want that image that could still stand out, and it's going to be more than just a regular daytime front exterior. So
So, what are some basic photography principles that every real estate agent should be aware of?
yeah, a lot of it goes into the preparation, I guess. And when it comes to the actual photography portion, good lighting. Um,
Good lighting.
lighting is important. The staging is important. Um, and there's we actually, what we've created over time, we've created like a checklist that we usually like to share with our clients to go through. And really, a lot of the basics are, make sure the lights are on, make sure the fans are off in the property. uh, Definitely want to have the toilet seats closed in all the bathrooms, and remove trash cans. Make sure the countertops are clear. Less personal items, the better. So a lot of those things are things to consider before a photography session.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll come up quite a bit today when it comes to the staging part of it as well. Um, why do you feel like less is more?
Uh, so really, it's what you're doing. You are trying to represent the house and show it to potential buyers, and you want those potential buyers to envision maybe their items in those spaces. So if your space is cluttered with furniture, personal items, paperwork, picture frames, like sometimes it can be too much. There's a balance you have to find, but you want to maybe leave some space for those potential buyers or viewers to imagine their things in that space. Imagine, you know, how they can set that up. So just it leaves a little room.
I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. I'm going to kind of go backwards and talk about new agents, and that's kind of an area I'm fond of. I was a new agent like 17 years ago, but I still remember how hard it was getting into the business and having to figure out how to handle all this stuff. Um, a lot of times when we start out, we end up taking pictures ourselves until we can leverage it, which I highly recommend they do, give the professional the ability to go do what they do, and we focus more on taking listings and selling those listings. If I do have to, as a new agent, take these photos, though, what are some basic things that you would tell that new agent if they're going to most likely pull out their phone, or if they do have a camera, pull that camera out? What would be some things that you would suggest?
Yeah. So honestly, the phones nowadays, and pretty much any camera on the market, is going to take a nice photo. So when it comes down to it, if that's what you're working with, again, lighting is important, and prepping the property before you start photographing everything. What I always do when I go into a property that the new agents can also practice is, walk in and do a complete walkthrough, a complete preparation of every single room before you take your first image, because sometimes you may set up the living room and take a photo, but you forgot that the hallway that's in the background in the very back is actually the lights not on. It looks like a dark void. So it's best to just go through the entire place first time, prep it all, open the blinds, turn on the lights, turn off the fans. The reason why we turn off the fans is because it will, when you take an image, it's gonna capture a blur because it's spinning so fast. It looks better when it's still most of the time. So um, those things are to consider. But in regards to the actual camera itself, one thing that we practice with real estate photography is keeping a level horizon. So for instance, if you're taking an image, we usually try to back up into corners most of the time to show like the entire room. So you want to back up into the corner, but when you take your image, nowadays a lot of people take them. If you have a phone, you could take it vertically or horizontally. Um, it depends on you want to consider what orientation, whether vertically or horizontally, what orientation your image is going to be shown, whether it's on
Right.
a desktop, whether it's on mobile. So um, think about that first. And the next thing is you want to make sure that what I try to look for, and what I mean by horizontal horizon, you want to level your camera, whichever one that you're using. Um, and just make sure like all the vertical lines in the room are as straight as possible. So, for instance, if you're taking an image of a room, you don't want to be facing down from up high
Right.
or facing down low and up. You want to have it as level as possible. Um, that really makes a difference because otherwise, the room could be distorted, and you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. And shooting on a tripod is always a great option if you can do that. I know they make a lot of mobile phone tripods nowadays to keep it simple and easy. um, we
Yeah, most cell
use
phones. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. The cell phones nowadays typically have a level in your settings as well, so you can just go into your settings and set that up so you can tell whether it's level or not. And
yeah,
tripods, good
exactly.
idea. I know I've taught a couple classes in the past on it, and I would suggest, like you said, back into the corner and try and get that phone as close to your face as possible without blinding yourself, obviously, to take that picture so you can get a full room view.
Hmm. Yeah.
Would
And
that be accurate, or would
yeah,
you
so
not
that's
recommend that?
what would what's that?
Would you recommend doing that, having it as close to you as possible to get the full room, or do you have another preference?
Yeah, so it depends. Say if it's a vacant property, yes, you want to show as much as possible. Sometimes when you're dealing with furniture, it could differ some. Sometimes you want the furniture to be in the foreground of the image, but also like say if you were backed up all the way into a corner, trying to take as wide of an image as possible, but you had a TV on the left wall right next to you, and because you were so far back, you're seeing all the wires and the TV mount on the wall, or maybe over to your right, you are looking at the back side of a couch and a gap between the wall and the couch. Sometimes we try to avoid that. It's not, it's space that doesn't need to be shown. So, what we try to do is we'll back all the way up, but then we may move forward just a tad bit to make sure that our angle and our picture is going to look the most pleasing.
Yeah, I think that's important. I get. We weren't even talking about fish eyes, but those pictures kind of drive me nuts when I see those fish eyes because it distorts the room and makes it look either bigger, most of the time bigger than it should be, and it's annoying when you show up to a property. It's like this is not what I saw at all, and it's usually because of that
Mhm.
fisheye look they used. Um, do you guys recommend using fish eyes at all?
No, we don't. That's a fisheye is more for a creative type of photography, in my opinion. When it comes to real estate, we don't go any wider than 15 to 14 millimeters. That's the lenses that we use. Um, and because for interior photography, you're trying not to distort the walls and
Right.
the property itself and the floor plan. So yeah, it's not something that we would recommend.
I do. We have a question here from one of our viewers on YouTube asking, would you recommend using an iPad?
Yeah, sure. iPads are great. The cameras on the back of those are excellent, and to have a bigger screen to see what you're photographing and just being able to line up your shot, it actually may make everything a little bit easier. So yeah, whether it's an iPad, iPhone, any kind of tablet, a point and shoot even can do it nowadays too. Um, uh, Now, the only thing I would maybe not recommend is a point and shoot with a flash on top of it, just because that flash usually just points straight forward. It could kind of throw off the exposure of the image and of the room. Um, that's something that can be a little bit more complex. But yeah, iPad would be great, definitely.
Good. Thank you, Felicia, for that question. Good question. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to put those in there. If it's as long as it's within what we're talking about, I'll try and get them answered right away. If not, we'll circle back to them near the end as well. But I do want to interrupt just because that was right in line with what we were talking about. I also wanted to jump into the fact that one of the big things I know from photography, whether it be photography or doing video at all, is always comes down to lighting. So when it comes to lighting, what would be for somebody who maybe, especially like myself, I'm not an expert at lighting. What would be the best techniques to use to try to get the best lighting for each scene? Is there anything they need to
Yeah.
know?
So uh, like I said, you want to get into the house, you want to open up all the blinds, you want to turn on all the lights, and that's step one. Another thing to consider is the time of day. Sometimes agents have the opportunity to go scout the house before they hire a photographer to do photos, and also the sometimes the agent could also ask the homeowners or the occupants who live in the house who um, where the sun's at during the day and the afternoon and morning day and the evening time. Sometimes some properties they photograph best in certain times of the day. Maybe you have some large trees overhead, or just in the backyard, so maybe you want to photograph the front of the property uh, when the sun is at the front of the property to light up the front. Um, so the time of day is also important. Um, Setting up the property on the inside is very important. And then in regards to the camera, say if you're using an iPad or an iPhone or something, um, those cameras, they're pretty good in low light. Again, I do recommend setting it up on a tripod. And that way, if the iPad or the iPhone or Android, whatever you're using, um, has to take like say it's a 3 second long image because it's adjusting for that dark room. If it's on a tripod, it's going to keep the camera very still for you. So if you're doing it handheld and you press the shutter button, you could have some micro shakes just because you're holding it up in the air, but the tripod is going to help you avoid having that. So you're going to have a cleaner, crisp, brighter image um, when you're set up on a tripod and you're very still. So definitely something to keep in mind, and that's going to come out. You're going to see that in your
Yeah.
final image. So
It's actually, I haven't thought about that, but would that benefit you then to maybe potentially have a remote so you can take that remotely and not have that problem?
yeah, so we actually use remote Bluetooth remotes for all of our cameras. My entire team, we set up our cameras on a tripod, and we use a remote to then trigger the shutter button to capture the image. And it's also even for people who are just starting out and they want to take their own images. I would highly recommend that for them too, because say for instance, we've all walked into maybe primary bathrooms where there's a mirror right in front of you and you just cannot avoid it but you want to
Yeah.
show it. So instead of being that person being caught in the image, recommend
Yeah.
setting up on a tripod and then stepping out of the room, trigger your remote to capture the image, and then you can walk back in the room to pick it up and move it to the next area. So definitely something I would recommend. And obviously your camera may be shown in the mirror, but it's better than an entire person figure,
Right.
in that shot to post online. So yeah.
I know I've done videos in the past. I've had to learn how to walk backwards to try and not get myself in the shot as much as possible. It's a
Mhm.
good suggestion, and you can probably find those buttons or the little remotes on Amazon for really cheap. They're not that expensive. Just make sure you get the compatible one with whatever phone or uh, camera you're using. Let's see. Let's talk about for staged homes. Is there anything different when it comes to staged homes for setting up any photography or lighting that they should know about?
Yeah, it starts off with the communication again. You're working with multiple, um, you know, people on one listing, so you want to make sure that there's good communication with the stagers. Make sure they're going to be done on time and they're on schedule, and everything is good to go. That way, when the photographer can arrive, they can do their job. Just focus on capturing, images, and the timing is going well, and we're not getting in each other's way. Uh, that does happen more often than not, and we always do our best to work around everything. Say if the stages are finishing up in one room, we'll start on the other side of the house. But it does sometimes it does cause you know some issues. Um, but it starts with the communication there, and then in regards to the photography portion of it, staging is, in my opinion, um, it is it, it really makes a difference in your listing photos, rather than like a vacant property. Having some furniture in there, some life, picture frames on the wall, little things on the kitchen counter, it really does bring more life to your images. And um, from my understanding, it is expensive. It's not cheap, um, but from from what I've heard, it does make a difference in showings. It makes a difference in your images. How many eyes are on your property? Again, sometimes having some staging materials, but not too much. Again, it gives the viewer an idea of maybe the dimensions, maybe the size of the room. Like, oh, how could I set this up? If I were to stage it myself, you get some ideas by looking at professional staging and how everything is laid out on the floor plan. Um, Rather than like an empty property where sometimes it could be a very large room, but since it's a large room and you're just taking an image of it empty, it's kind of hard to see the perspective and get an idea of how large that room is if you're not looking at dimensions and everything like that. If you're just looking at the
Yeah.
image itself, so yeah, staging is definitely a great tool that really could benefit your listing.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to go through photos and see furniture and stuff in there, how the room's being used rather than just an empty room. A lot of people don't have the ability to see a room and see it full or just to envision it full. They have to actually have it there. Some people are more visually impaired in a way, I would say, but I personally feel like that's most people. So having that room stage is very, very, very helpful. Um, we're talking a lot about photography, but I'm seeing more and more here lately. People are starting to use video a lot more, and I know you guys are starting to use video as well. So, do you have any suggestions when it comes to video? Do you have a preference, or kind of let's just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so over the last few years, I've definitely noticed video trending. It's become very popular. Um, it is a tool to get more eyes and more views, more attention on your property, and it's something that we've definitely put a lot of effort and time into curating different services when it comes to video, different products that we sell and that we offer, because not every property is the same, not every listing agent's branding is the same. Some people want to post things on social media for eyes, and views, uh, to help sell a property, but some people just want um, a nice video to go on their website and their page where it shows to their potential clients, like, this is like our brand, this is what we do, and this is something that we offer, and it's a portfolio builder.
Right.
um, but yeah, over the last few years, videos has become very popular. Again, we're in a digital world. Things are always evolving and changing, and we always do our best to offer the next thing. And that way, we can be like a one-stop shop for the agents. And um, I found that in video, it's been overall. I feel like it's when you add that to your listings and for your properties, it makes a difference. It's a you know it hooks the viewers in when you have music and sound effects and you have text and titles and transitions. It's exciting. Images are great because you can look at it, you can pause on it, you can dissect it. But with the video, it brings more energy into what you're trying to show. And it also, like for instance, you may have a beachfront property, right? And you take some images of it. It looks beautiful. It's great. But when you can put together like a narrative video um, of that beachfront property, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and you're out on the boat, and you're adding all these things into like a production. You are showing that potential buyer or viewer online, like this could be you, this could be your lifestyle, this is what this
Right.
property is about. So yeah, we're finding that video's been very popular. We're enjoying doing it quite a bit. It is more of a production, uh, but and it's more of like a teamwork thing, especially when you get like multiple people involved. But it's been great, and I think that it's here to stay. So
There's a book I talk about it a lot. There's a class I go around our region teaching on branding, and the book "The Power of Habit" by Charles Duhigg is a great one, and he talks specifically about the emotions that are involved. And if I get a single photo, we were talking about photos earlier, and your love of architecture and stuff. And in architecture, you can invoke emotion from some of those photos. In fact, some of the best photos you've probably ever seen in your life are probably because they're invoking some kind of emotion. But not everybody can pull that out of a photo. And sometimes video does a better job of that because you're seeing more than that still. How many times have you seen a still photo and what's in that photo is maybe not actually what's happening? Whereas in a video, you can actually explain yourself and tell that story behind it. And that story really helps tie somebody down to, in this case, the property. So, like you said, you have that beachfront home, and you're showing that lifestyle around that beach home. It kind of creates some emotion around it. And if you haven't read that book, I would highly suggest go and reading it. I'm not even going to give you the link to it because I don't want people saying that I'm trying to collect a fee off it. I'm just saying that that's a great book and you should go read it. It's all stories in there about how branding really does affect what people buy and how they buy it. And it's not going to be like a self-help book, so powerful book. But it is, again, that's Charles Duhigg, and it's The Power of Habit. Um, let's go into some more on the how about virtual tours? I know we've got virtual tours, which to me, they're just taking those single photos that you created and put them into a slideshow, really, but they call them virtual tours. Um, do you see benefit of that, or would you just suggest people just go ahead and do the video?
I do. I think that there's a use case for all those different products. When it comes to the virtual tour, like Matterport, for instance, where it creates the interactive walkthrough of a property and the floor plan as well. Um, I think that it's uh, it's it's a great tool, especially for people who may not have the opportunity to go visit the open house, to go see what the house looks like in person, maybe because they live out of state or something like that. But maybe they're very interested. But like photos, what we try to do is is we do our best to show the features as well as the layout of the property and the relationship from room to room, instead of like chopping up all the images, all the property into small images and making it look like they're small rooms. We want to try to do our best to show that relationship and how everything's connected, but it's not always that easy. um, Especially when you're dealing with 2 to 3 story properties. But when it comes to the Matterport, when it comes to interactive tours and virtual tours, uh, we think that that is it's a great tool to use. I know, like if I ever go shopping online for a property, I tell you what, like when there's a Matterport, I get real excited because I can click in there. I know how to. I mean, obviously, I know how to operate it. It could be a little bit more complex sometimes, but if you sit down and you play with it a little bit, it's easy to get a hang of. But it's I I find actually I think that it could be. I don't think it's being used to its best potential yet. I could foresee a future where every property is there's a Matterport, a virtual tour of every property, and this is little out there, but I know not a lot of people own the 3D goggles, that Apple creates and Facebook and all these. But if you think about it, like if you're able to capture that Matterport and maybe at your offices you have that as an option, you have like a set of 3D vision goggles, you could put that on and it basically transports you into the property and you can really get a feel and get a walk around of the entire place instead of looking at a flat computer screen or on your phone.
Right.
It's more immersive. So I could see that it would be an expensive venture, I think, for everybody. But
Still get the cost down on
that's
those a
that's
bit.
one way. Yeah, but yeah, so for people who are out of state, it's a great tool. Even for people who are in state, just don't have the opportunity to go. Maybe they want to see what the floor plan looks like. They just want to get an idea of the spatial awareness kind of the property itself. So we offer Matterport, and it has been something that we've offered more and more over time. So it's gaining popularity even more.
So we got I know this guy Brett here. He's usually here helping me. He just put a house under contract for both sides of the deal because of the Matterport tour. So that's great to hear. I also know one of our other Mark Center tech trainers in the South Florida region just purchased a house, and he said one of the key factors there was the layout of the house. They could actually go through and see the floor plan. And I agree with that. One of the things that I always liked about when I was looking at houses is looking at some of the new homes, because a lot of the new homes had those floor plans in them that helped you understand what the layout was. And I've seen more and more houses starting to put that out there. I find that hugely helpful, just knowing what that floor plan. I don't even have to run to see that house if I can't even see that there's actually a real third bedroom on there, or there's that fourth bedroom or a den on there, so I can actually see the floor plan. And I'm constantly looking at some investment properties, and seeing that on there is huge. Is that truly a third bedroom? I don't know. Let's look at that floor plan and see, because you can't tell from the pictures a lot of
Yeah,
times. You could from a Matterport,
yeah,
I guess.
and another use case for Matterport, we actually work with a lot of builders, and when builders are building their houses from the ground up, they will have us come out there right before they start putting in the drywall. So, they've got the plumbing, the electrical, everything done. It's just like, studs, but we go out there, we'll capture a 3D Matterport of the entire property, and we send that over to them so that they can save it on their end. They have that file that they can always refer to in the future. Say if those homeowners eventually move into their property, maybe they find that there's a leak on the second floor behind this wall somewhere. Well, that builder can refer back to that Matterport with ease. And it gives you measurements. It gives you like everything that you could possibly need to know where those pipes are, maybe know where those electrical wires are, because it's all seen in the Matterport. And that way, like they can go right in, maybe cut that hole in the wall, find exactly where that issue is instead of like searching up and down to see, where it might be.
All right.
It's a great tool that they're able to
That's super
refer back
smart.
on as well. So. Mhm.
Yeah, I've not heard of that before, but that's really smart. I like that idea. I almost wish my house was done that way now, because I'm going back and seeing things as I renovate my house that I'm just like, wow, why did they do that? Uh, but
Yeah.
my house is also from the 50s, so it's a little bit crazy back then. I find windows in the walls. I'm like, what is that doing there?
Yeah.
All right, so we just have a few more minutes before we get ready to head out and go to the next session. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think is really important that agents should know when it comes to either your services that you provide, or just in general, if they're trying to get their property ready for being listed and all the photography being done on it.
Um, yeah, so I really, um, just like anything else in the real estate industry and the world and the people that you connect with, building a relationship with your photographer is just as important as building your relationship with, like a title company or,
Home
home
inspector.
inspector, anything. Yeah, so any of that. And and building that relationship will, um, over time, hopefully, we understand you, we understand your brand, how you operate, and we, um, can work as a team together to, capture the images and create that content and take care of your clientele. Maybe if there's one day that you can't show up to the photography session as an agent because you have another appointment somewhere else, you can trust us enough to go out there, take care of your clients that are, very important, and, make sure that the job is done right. And, professionals are on site, know what they're doing, they have the experience. So, um, we definitely, uh, we think that's very important, and we appreciate our clientele who return year after year after year, and we don't forget that. Um, and Another thing is, um, sometimes we do suggest sometimes, getting creative with some of your listings too. Um, maybe you want to try a different service more than just photos. You want to do a social media reel. You want to do a Matterport. You want to add drone photography or videography to your listing. Maybe you want to try something different that no one else has done yet. Start a new trend. Start something that will get eyes and views onto your property. We're happy to, work with you and try to, curate that new thing that you're looking for. Um, we always try to, like I said before, we always try to offer the next thing. Um, and Yeah, I mean, um, we just,
Anything you do yourself. That's good.
yeah,
Appreciate it. Kathy here is asking what
sure.
color lighting do you recommend?
So every property is different. Some people prefer the warmer lighting. Some people prefer like the daylight lighting, the real bright white. Um, but if that's what you're referring to in the lighting of, the lighting fixtures, really, every home is going to be different. The design, the interior. So really, we can work around anything. What we try to do is we try to represent the house as best as we can as it is. We're not trying to, um, make the property look, like something
Different.
different than
Yeah.
it's not, because we don't want people to see the images online and show up at the property and be like, oh, this is not what it looked like. We try to
So high
represent it
ceilings,
as
white
is.
walls, really white area. You're going to use a lot more bright light, a little more
Yeah, but then
cozy.
in regards to, the lighting outdoors, planning and scouting your property is can make a difference. Whether you shoot it in the morning time because the sun, maybe the house faces east, so you might want to shoot the property in the morning time when the sun comes up, or vice versa in the west. Or if like your property's by the beach, talk with the photographer, talk with someone with experience, and they'll let you know the best time of day to deal with the shadows, to deal with, the lighting and the sun. It all makes a difference. Now, sometimes time is of the essence. You don't really have the option to plan it all out because maybe you got your listing, you got a contract signed, and you need photos the next day. But if you ever do have the opportunity to plan it out, talk with one of us, or talk with your professional that you're working with, and I'm sure they'd be happy to help.
I'm going to help you with this one a little bit. I know I've used you guys in the past to do exactly this. So if you're doing community photos or community pools, um, I think I know they do drone photography, so that drone photography gets a good visual of those areas. Also giving you insight to where that is in relation to the property. So I personally feel like that's a good idea. What's your suggestion on it?
Yeah, drone photography is great. Uh, we That's something else that we offer a lot of now with drone photography. We do have to have a license to do so, and we are restricted in some areas in the Tampa Clearwater area because it might be near the airports or the military bases. Maybe some other areas that are just restricted. So that again goes on communication. So if you hire us to take photos of a listing. But then on site, you're like, hey, I want to add some drone photography. We'd be happy to do that. But sometimes it does take some planning on our side to do so. So it could take sometimes up to 3 weeks to get a authorization request in and get accepted and everything like that. So communication planning is really, really important. And then with drone photography itself, if you have a listing that's in a desirable area, maybe it's near conservation, maybe it's near um, or it
Beach.
has parks or communities or pools, the beach, yeah, any of those things. We always find that it's um, it's important to show that. Otherwise, you're not really doing the property justice. And for viewers online, when they see the proximity and locations nearby, that could really make a difference. Like, say if the property's on water, but you didn't request drone photos, that avid boater who saw the listing online was like, oh, you know what? I don't know if it connects to the ocean. I'm not sure if I'm gonna look deeper into this. I'm not sure if it connects to the intercoastal. So, the little things like that do make a difference. And we try to price it right so that it's affordable. To add drone photography, we do discount our drone photography if you purchase a photo package with us, like for interior and exterior images. So we try to work with you like that. But yeah, drone photography is huge, and it's also just like it's neat. It's pretty cool how much it's advanced and the images come out beautiful. So
I agree. I'm going to suggest something else. Besides just doing this for your property, instead of just getting drone photography done of the house that you're doing, I would suggest maybe getting some of the neighborhoods that you tend to frequent, especially if you're farming that area. Maybe some of the nearby, like if you're doing in our area, we've got Clearwater Beach, or we've got down Miami Beach or Fort Lauderdale Beach. Having those areas done that way so that you can use that in future videos you might want to put together for that property, and it's not specific to that direct property, but that area that you're working within, because you can reuse
yeah,
that as kind of evergreen content that you can keep on going with, and you can make some community videos to go along with, which I'm sure they
yeah.
could do for you.
And also, say if you frequently work in one community, for instance, you have a lot of listings in there. Um, you can have us capture the amenities and everything in the parks and the conservation all in one shoot, but you can reuse those images. So they're kind of like stock photos for your portfolio because say if you get a listing in the future, you can reuse those images for the next property and you just have them saved and yeah.
Awesome. One last question before we go, Taylor. What do you see for the future? What do you think are the coming trends that people should be looking at?
Yeah, so we're finding that right now we're going out maybe 6 months ago or so. We went out, we took photos, but we're finding like people are coming back to us to capture more content this time around because maybe they just had interior and exteriors 6 months ago, but they're finding, maybe their listing's not moving, maybe it's sitting a little bit longer, they need to get more eyes on it, or maybe they did renovations or something, so they need a refresh, or they just need a new type of content. For instance, like if we just did photos, maybe we'll do Matterport, maybe we'll do a video this time. So people are coming back to us for more content recently. We are finding that more and more agents, um, we're finding that the uh, we have quite a few very successful agents who will come to us and they're just like, hey, just one of everything. They're consistent with it. They understand like each product has its benefit and it's part of their brand again. Like branding is huge. I know I keep talking about that, but if you are offering um, all these advertising and marketing options to your client to help get that home sold, you want to do the same thing for the next client. You want to show that you're consistent. You want to show that you're doing everything you can to get as many eyes on that property as possible. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's sometimes say if your property backs up to a major highway, wouldn't suggest drone images, right? But we also try to do our best to recommend certain things to you, or suggest. Not all agents are aware of all the services and new products that are out there, but if you're working with a professional photographer, definitely ask. If they know what they're doing, they're going to give you the best advice and help you work through some of these things. You as an agent, your expertise is in homes and everything, and knowing how to get things done and connections and all that, and we try to take care of the actual content building for you. Again, creating that relationship is super important for us, and I think that in the near future, it looks like we're going to be doing a lot more services for each individual property, and we're excited to keep growing in the Tampa region as well as South Florida, and potentially over into Orlando, hopefully, and just offer more, create some new connections and relationships, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, if anybody wanted to reach out to you to ask any more questions or to potentially become a new client, how would they reach out to you?
So my email is taylor@firelightimages.com, and my the website you can visit is firelightimages.com as well.
All right. I can put it in the chat for them, and feel free to reach out to him. And so I put his email in there. Just use the URL from that firelightimages.com, and I'll take you to their website and take a look at what they've got going on. And I would like to note that they are going through a rebrand right now, and they're going to be updating their site in the near future. So keep an eye on that. Thank you so much, Taylor, for coming on and talking with us today. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with Tony Benton, who's going to talk about the psychology of staging. So stay tuned. Thank you, Taylor. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
In Clearwater sun, where dreams take flight, a Keller Williams star shines ever so bright. Tony Benton, her wisdom unfolds, the secrets of staging, a story she holds. With a voice like honey, a heart so kind, she'll teach you the magic it's easy to find. The psychology of staging, a powerful art to transform a house, to capture a heart. From colors and textures to lighting soft glow, she'll show you the secrets that buyers don't know. How to create a haven, a place to belong, where memories are cherished, where love is strong. With a voice like honey, a heart so kind, she'll teach you the magic that's easy to find. The psychology of staging, a powerful art like never before. With a voice like honey, a heart so kind, she'll teach you the magic that's easy to find. The psychology of staging, a powerful art to transform a house, to capture a heart. So come gather round, let your spirit soar. Tony Benton's wisdom you'll want to explore. The secrets of staging, she'll open the door to success and fulfillment like never before. With a voice like honey, a heart so kind, she'll teach you the magic that's easy to find. The psychology of staging, a powerful art to transform a house, to capture a heart, to capture a heart. In Clearwater sun, where dreams take flight, a Keller Williams star shines ever so bright. Tony Benton, her wisdom unfolds, the secrets of staging, a story she holds. With a voice like honey, a heart so kind, she'll teach you the magic that's easy to find. The psychology of staging, a powerful art to transform a house, to capture a heart. From colors and textures to lighting soft glow, she'll show you the secrets that buyers don't know. How to create a haven, a place to belong.
Hi, everybody. It's Ryan Yarbrough. I'm your Regional Technology Director. And yeah, you just caught me closing my door. But we are getting started. I am going to be joined by Tony Benton, and we're going to be talking about the psychology of staging. So I hope you enjoyed that session we just finished up. We were just talking to Taylor Anderson over at Firelight Images, and he had a wealth of knowledge when it comes to photography, and is a great guy as well. I really appreciate him coming on and talking with us. I hope that helped you, at least give you some concepts around what to think about when it comes to getting ready for photography. And I think we're going to have a lot we can hear from Tony, because I know I've heard her teach before. And I'm going to actually go ahead and bring her on. She is here. Welcome, Ms. Tony Benton. She's one of my favorite people. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You look like you got your lighting and everything perfect.
It's actually natural light. You can't get any better than that.
See, one of the things I wanted to bring up, I didn't want to interrupt Taylor, but you could tell he's the professional, because he had this nice warm lighting that made him look nice and warm, and his skin looked good. I look all flushed out, even though I'm not. I went and got some sun over the weekend at Adventure Island with my kids, and I am not that flush and white as I appear on here, but the lighting in here is horrible. So the lighting makes all the difference.
You just got to sit by a window.
I know. Well, right now it's getting ready to thunder and rain here, so
It
I don't know if
is.
that's gonna be so
It's
good.
getting dark out.
All right, Tony, tell us a little bit about who you are.
I'm Tony Benton. I've been in the real estate industry since 2014, the very end of it. Just kind of hit the ground running. I'm in the top 20% for the South Florida region. I do fairly well with just a team of me and my husband helping in the background. I have an assistant who helps in the background as well. My own transaction coordinator. I do consistently just by myself 10 to 12 million a year, and all of my business is repeat and referral. So last year I pushed about 13 million, and I think I'm on target for that again this year as well. So yeah, that's it. I've got 3 kids, teenagers, all boys. 2 of them are twins. Just very active, and then a rescue dog named Diesel.
Nice. She's also one of the nicest human beings you'll meet. Amazing person.
Oh, that's very sweet.
She's one of my family reunion buddies there.
Yeah, I love family reunion.
All right, so we are here to talk about the psychology of staging, which is a value statement that you utilize, right?
Yes. Yeah, I stage all the time. And whether it's with their stuff or my stuff, I'm staging.
Right. Well, I've got your slides up, and I'm happy to handle them and run them for you unless you wanted to pull them up yourself. Otherwise, I'm just going to scroll through them and let you dictate what happens. And I'll
No, you can scroll through them and I'll just say next page if you want to go to the next one. That's awesome. I love that help. and you don't mind that I'm drinking my latte as I'm teaching because this is my jam.
I've got my my energy drink here. I will go in the background and I'll probably just interject here and there if there's some questions or if I see any questions show up in the comments that I think are important. All right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Okay, so staging. I am quite sure that you guys go into properties and you're like, holy moly. Or when you look through pictures and you're thinking, what is this? Actually, the other day, I just sent a picture to somebody. I'm not going to say who the agent was. They're not Keller Williams. But what I will tell you is that they had a picture of a single bed in a room, just the mattress, no covers, no comforters, nothing. And I mean, at least, guys, in your little bag of goods and tricks, have a comforter, just a white comforter. It will go a long way, especially for photos. Look, if you want to take it off after the photos are done, fine. But, you know, it's those little things that make such a huge difference. So next slide, if you will. Okay, so what is property staging? Well, we all know that property staging is really just the process of getting a home ready to sell, getting it ready to evoke that emotion into a buyer, someone who's looking at the property. And as we know, photos are that first introduction. And staging, it's been around for a long time, but it really got popular in the 70s. So we just need to help buyers, and we've been catching on to this since the 70s. We need to help buyers understand that they could live in this house, right? We got to give them vision because most buyers, they don't have it. All right, next slide, please. So what percentage of buyer's agents said that staging a home made it easier for potential buyers to visualize the property as a future home? Ryan, is there any way that they can put a little number in a chat box or any way for that to happen? So if you guys know the number, go ahead and put it in your chat box.
Yeah, you guys are all on Facebook and on YouTube. So please go to the comment section and put in your number.
Yeah. So what percentage of buyer's agents said staging a home made it easier for potential buyers to visualize the property as a future home? I'll do the little da na 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 na. Okay, that's enough. All right, next slide. 81%, guys. That's a huge number. Huge, right? Oh, Kathy, look, Kathy said 80%. You were close, Kathy, right? So 81% of buyer's agents said staging that home made it easier for their buyers to visualize that as their future home. So let's go ahead to the next slide. By the way, that's from NAR, National Association of Realtors. Okay, this, and I will throw her under the bus, this is my sister-in-law's house before she and my brother got married. And she wanted to leave her house like this. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see that picture, but there's a Christmas tree.
I'm just going to say, Tony, I would have done the same thing. It looks great.
I love the dramatic effect of the curtains behind the Christmas tree. No, guys, we never, ever, ever want to do a couple of things. And one of them is marking what time of year it is, right? Especially with the market that we're going into, we know that we have to be skills-based. So I want you guys to take a really good look at this picture. And then next slide, please.
Here's my side. Okay, there it is.
It's your turn, Ryan. It's getting there. We're getting there.
Should be good now.
Well, now that you really got a good look at this picture.
You guys seeing the next slide? It's up on my side.
No. Are you guys seeing it? Because I am not seeing it. If you're seeing it, say yes. If you're not, say no.
The only downside of doing this on this platform is the fact we don't get instant response from people because they're on Facebook, Instagram. Quality is supposed to be better.
That's okay. Oh, there's the after. Okay, guys, come on. Do you see the difference? She had that dining room table shoved into a little nook by her kitchen, and that's a huge table. And this was a big space to fill. What you don't see to the left of that mirror is that's the front door. And so this would be a very powerful first impression, right? And that's important. All right, thanks, Kathy. Kathy says they're seeing it now. Okay, so basically we're going to know this. Studies show that buyers make up their minds within the first 90 seconds, right? So on this property, I actually had multiple offers, which was really, really good. All right.
We have the Naples TC asking, even if it's Christmas time, do you not recommend having decorations or even seasonal like spring or fall?
Nothing. We want it to be bland because when the market we're going into, guys, we might be on the market a little bit longer than what we're used to. And if you're a newer agent and you were used to just sticking your sign in the front yard, it ain't going to happen. It's not happening, right? It's just not that time anymore. So all the stuff that I used to stage her home, for the most part, was her stuff. So you can repurpose what they have because as agents, we have to have the vision, right? But we don't want it to be that, oh, well, gosh, this house has been listed since Christmas and we're at 4th of July, right? Or they decorated for 4th of July. How cute. But no, I mean, just make sure when you're going into your listing appointment around any holiday that you're telling them, please wait till after we take photos and then they can put it up, right? They can put it up while it's being shown, but not for photos. Absolutely not. And you actually want to use those photos for marketing, and you don't want it to be marketing for a specific time of year unless you're doing a holiday marketing. But in my recommendation, I would say, no, please do not do any type of holiday photos at all, no matter what the holiday is. All right, next slide, please.
Now, does that change when that's just for the marketing though, right? That's just for the photos. They can still continue to have Christmas.
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, Put up your Christmas decorations. You got to live in the house, right? This is what I explain to my clients, and you guys can steal this or tweak it however you want to. Your home is no longer the home you live in. This is now a product that you are marketing. And when I go to the grocery store, if I'm looking for an air freshener, we all know there's thousands of air fresheners, right? So one of the first things that we're probably looking at is the packaging. And I'm looking for that fun packaging. And then I'm looking for something, because this is how I roll, I'm looking for something that's a little more environmentally friendly, right? So I'm looking for what's inside the packaging. And then I'm going to look at price. I'm going to price compare. How is that any different from a home, right? So you got to treat this house as if it's a air freshener can that we are marketing on a shelf, right? We are going to put this house on a shelf and we're going to have it next to 1,000 other homes. And so how are we going to highlight our home that we're listing as the best product on the shelf? So that's how we have to go into it. All right, next slide, please. Now, isn't this a lovely first impression? I will tell you, when I first walked to this house, while it's a lovely home, if you look at that brick wall to the right, it had a huge crack down the side of it. These planters were not there. The mulch was all washed away. So we had patches of mulch and patches of dirt, and we had some little grasses growing out of the bushes on the left. This is a whole different vibe. When we walked up to this front door now, it's a warm, welcome feeling. So please don't forget your entryways and your yards. If someone says, should I put new grass in, and their grass is horrible, the answer is always yes. Yes, absolutely. Next slide, please. So we're trying to create some type of a connection with the buyer, right? And a lot of times buyers make emotional decisions. If you have a property that is staged and they love the furniture, they can now start to visualize the possibilities of that home. And sometimes they might even buy the furniture, right? Now, I don't always recommend using color on the wall. However, one very important thing you must know is what's the color of the year, right? So every year, the beginning of the year, I will go online and I will research different paint companies to find out what's their color of the year. Because now I can say to my clients, oh, sea salt, that's a Sherwin-Williams color. The sea salt color for Sherwin-Williams was this color that's on the wall. But in some lights, if you kind of look to the very left next to the lamp, that's the same color in different lighting. It looks gray. So sea salt was a very transitional color, very popular from Sherwin-Williams a couple of years ago. I would say it's been about 5 years now. Now, don't mix it up, because Benjamin Moore also has a sea salt color. It looks nothing like this. It's more of a grayish. So make sure you know your colors, okay? It's super important. Neutral colors, soft textures, strategic lighting. Do we want light, bright colors, light, bright accents? Because if so, we're using white light bulbs. If not, we might be using a softer light bulb with more of a yellow hue to it, right? So the other thing that makes me nuts when I look at listing photos is when you have like maybe a bathroom light, and above the mirror, you have 3 different shades of light bulbs. Maybe one is a clear light bulb, and the other one's frosted and it's a yellow, and then the other one's white. Like, it just stands out. So in my little realtor pack, I actually have light bulbs, and I will change them out because it's just a pet peeve and it looks horrible in photos. So try to make sure the lighting throughout the home is consistent, because it also looks weird when you have a lamp with a white light and then the fan has yellow, right? Okay, next slide, please. So this is a little condo on what we call the Dunedin Causeway. It's just a little 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. And I want you guys to see the effects of what staging can do, right? The walls, for lack of a better term, when we got there, they were doo-doo brown. All right. And you can see that it just feels dark. It actually makes the tile look a different color and more dated. And to the right, we painted, it's a coastal cream color by Sherwin-Williams. That table and chair, the desk right there to the right, we actually found that at a thrift store and painted it with chalk paint on the spot, super easy. And we brought in stuff that we had from our own home and storage unit, because yes, we do have a storage unit that we store stuff in, because we need stuff, you know, on a shoestring, right? We need stuff pretty quickly sometimes. But can you guys feel the difference? We made it coastal. We're on the water. Like, this is a whole different vibe. If you guys can put in your comment section how these differences make you feel or what you notice, I just want to see if you're catching on to what I'm saying. The other thing that we did that was super important was we made use of every bit of space in that property. This was during COVID. And so people were starting to work from home. So where that desk is on the green desk side, that property right there, when you walked in the front door, just had this space. Like, what do you do with this space? There was a fan there. It just didn't make a lot of sense. So that's why we made it a desk area. Behind the chair is the entrance to the bedroom. And we wanted to make sure that there was a table next to the kitchen, so it felt more like a dining room. But because it's a 1-bedroom space, we didn't need to have a lot in there, right? Soft colors. We just wanted to create the vision. Next slide, please. So this room was kind of an octagonal shape. And we really wanted to highlight its best features. And putting chairs in here would have put the line of sight below the bottom of the window. And I'm not sure if you guys can see through that window, but that's a water view. So staging highlights the best features of the home. And if I'm working from home and I have an opportunity to get this view, this is how I'm going to place my desk, right? So furniture, decor, just we got to utilize how different spaces can be used. Just like the prior slide with the desk area, we made a little office out of an entryway and it made perfect sense. Next slide, please. Okay, what do you see wrong with this picture? If you guys can put it in your comments, just let me know. There's a couple of things that bothered me about this picture.
My pet peeve right here.
Do you see it? It's like they vomited family photos. Now, the circle to the left, that's the front door. So as soon as you walk in, that's what you see. So it's not welcome to your next home. It's welcome to our home. This is our home. This is way too much. And yes, someone, Kathy, thank you, Kathy. You're like a rock star today, sister. You pointed out the couch, right? The sofa. It's a huge sectional and it feels displaced right there next to the breakfast bar. So what I would have done is I would have taken some pieces out of that sectional because we don't need to have a big couch when we're showing the property. I get it. Again, the house we live in is different than the house that we're marketing on a shelf next to many other homes, right? So remove that stuff from the wall. And here's a little secret. If they don't have that paint color anymore, that's okay. We're going to fill in those holes from the 1,000 nails they have in the wall, and we're going to paint an accent wall. And we're going to make it a nice light color that goes with the theme of the house. And that way we don't have to paint the entire room. And then we're going to paint or put a big picture or some type of artwork on that wall so that it draws people into the home, but they're not looking at your family. They're looking at your home, right? Patricia, yes, it's way too much. Way too much. So we want to make sure that we're doing unique things that appeal to a buyer and not just a singular buyer, right? We're not looking for the needle in a haystack. I was trying for this slideshow to find a picture of a mural that my client had painted as an accent wall in their living room. And it was dolphins jumping out of the water and palm trees and a tiki hut. And they actually had ceramic dolphins, right? That was their decor in the living room. And when I said to the seller, that has to be painted. If you want to memorialize it, then we will take a photo and frame it, but we cannot have this on the wall. And the seller's response was, well, there's going to be one buyer who likes it, right? Somebody's got to like it. I'm not looking for that one buyer. I'm looking for every buyer, right? We have to appeal to the majority. And again, if people can't see past a red painted wall, they're certainly not going to see past your mural. That's a very personalized thing. All right, next slide, please. So when I got to this property, I'm not sure if you can see it in the photo behind there, but their backyard is a lake. And then beyond that is conservation. They had curtains on the windows. The table was placed the opposite way. So it was going long ways, if you will. And they had a bunch of stuff on the table. We had to really declutter this space quite a bit. So we changed it around. We took the curtains down, right? Don't be afraid, guys, to take away the old dusty curtains. But what this did was it drew people's attention through those windows to that amazing view. And just beyond the beyond this dining room was a wide open kitchen. So this is what you get to look at when you're cooking your meals each day. It's pretty amazing. So just even changing the placement of the furniture and taking curtains off and letting natural light in to capture a view is what we want to do. Now, if there was something scary on the other side of that lake, I might have done something different, right? So it's a case by case basis. Okay, next slide. What do you guys think this room is being used for? Put it in your comments, if you will. And while you do that, I'm going to drink my latte. What do you think this room is being used for? Exactly. So on the left side, they actually have a photo that they had blown up into a canvas of a vineyard that they visited overseas. To the left of that chair, what you don't see is like a little wine bar area. You can see all of their corks to the right. And this is an amazing waterfront home. So what's great about this space is it can be used as a conversation area. Patricia, that's hysterical. Patricia said getting drunk. I'm sure they've had many great nights in that room. But no, the space is very flexible too. So we want to give vision, right? So in this space, we know what they're doing. They've given the vision. And this was a $3 million home, by the way. So possibly they're drinking wine, right? They might have a refined palate. This might be something that's of interest to them. Next slide. So what do you think they do in this home? What do you guys think they're doing? They're probably doing a lot of entertaining, right? They've got a wine wall. They've got a table. To the right of that, what you guys don't see in this photo is a butler's pantry, right? So they're doing a lot of entertaining in this house. That's what it was designed for. This home had a lot of great features to it, and they were able to accent every bit of the space. And this home we sold it very quickly within the first couple of days. And actually it was a Keller Williams agent from my office who had the buyer. All right, next slide. Okay. In your comments, please write what percentage of buyer's agents identified the living room as the highest priority room to stage for buyers? What percentage of buyer's agents said the living room was most important? And guys, these photos are of a little condo in a 55 plus community in walking distance to downtown Dunedin. Dunedin, if you're not from our area, is a pretty amazing little downtown. It's quaint, charming, shops, bars, restaurants, events all the time. The photo to the left, this is how she had the property. If you can't see kind of in the distance, there's a green couch, there's a brown couch, there's a chair, there's a desk, there's a table. Next to this table was an old school baker's rack with a bunch of stuff on it. There was a painting of some artwork on the left side there of the room that had just been resting on a table. And so she had it listed with another agent. She was referred to me and reached out at the end of her listing contract with the other agent. And I pulled up the photos and I very frankly said, your photos are giving me anxiety. There's way too much stuff here and this doesn't make sense. And the shampooed carpets are going to do you worlds of difference. There were stains on the carpet. It was a disaster. And again, if you can see, the table was turned as well to make more space on either side of it. It just was very squishy in there. That's the best, most technical word I can use for the day. It was squishy. So next slide, let's see what percentage of buyer's agents said the living room was important. 39%. So 39% of buyer's agents said that the living room was more important. Next slide. Again, that's from NAR, by the way. So here's the other rooms that were of importance. And I wanted to make sure that you guys knew this so that if you do stage a property or if you don't have a lot of time and you have to focus on different spaces, this is what you need to look at. So 35% said the primary bedroom, 30% said the kitchen, which I thought was a little bit odd because just declutter the countertops, right? We don't need a lot of stuff on the countertops. What I tell my clients in kitchens is, look, if we can just declutter it for your pictures, we can put the stuff back on, but not too much, right? Just what are you going to be using that's most important? Is it your toaster? I know a lot of people's air fryers are super important, but they take up a lot of space. So for the next few weeks, can you use your oven instead of the air fryer, right? Let's help them come up with some alternatives and help them get to the decision. Dining room, 21%. Again, the yard and outside space was 18%. A lot of people these days entertain in their backyards. We have a lot more fire pits that we're seeing. We live in Florida, so poolside, right? And then just again, that front entry. The bathroom, 17%. I thought that was interesting. But if you're staging a vacant home, and it might be in a community where it's family friendly, children's bedrooms captured a little more interest than a guest bedroom. So if you can stage for it to be a children's bedroom, that might be more important than a guest room. Okay, next slide. So here's some before photos. Again, this is my sister-in-law's house. She knows I was using her furniture for this slideshow. So remember that table in the first slide I showed you the before and after, and we moved it to where the dramatic curtains were by the front door. Well, this is where she had the table crammed into. So right next to this are the stairs. To the right of that is the kitchen. So it just doesn't feel right. The chaise part of the couch was next to the sliding glass doors that went out to the pool. So there's a lot of stuff blocking the exit to the pool area, which looked out to a beautiful conservation area. The couch way too big for the space. So this is, again, one of those sectional couches that we removed a section and brought it to a storage unit. Next slide. This is what it looks like now. So where that mirrored little cabinet is, that's where she had her TV before. And we moved the TV to the much larger wall. It was a big TV. We moved artwork around. But now we're not blocking. There's a big walkway behind the couch. And we removed that table from in front of the stairs and the kitchen because there's 2 sliding glass doors, one behind the couch and one at the bottom of the stairs. So now we have easier access to the outdoors. So it just feels better. It flows better. So what percentage of sellers agents said they staged all sellers' homes, all of their homes, prior to listing them for sale? What percentage do you think that is, guys? What percentage of agents stage all of their homes? Rashenda said 15. Patricia said 10. Shakiria said 90. Jocelyn said 70. Let's take a look. Drum roll, please. 23%, which I think is still a pretty high number. 23% of agents. Good job, Kathy. Boy, Kathy is on today. 20% said Kathy. So 23% of sellers agents said they stage all their homes. I do, guys. I will go in there. There's only one home that I didn't stage, and I'm not even going to get into the story of the why, but I tried to my best. I'm not even going to touch that one. But every home I go into, I stage. Actually, this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'll be going to someone's house to stage because we have photos tomorrow. So 23%. Get into the habit, guys. And don't be afraid to have those difficult conversations with your clients, right? They may respect you a little bit more, even though they may not like what they're hearing. Next slide. How does this room make you feel? This is a primary bedroom. And it was a very large bedroom. This is in that $3 million home. Waterfront home. So those chairs are chairs that twist. Those are really popular chairs right now. So guys, make sure you understand what design trends are, okay? In front of that, they had a credenza with a TV that hung on the wall. And beyond that, to the right, was that octagonal room that had the desk that captured the water views. So how does this room make you feel? Even though there's some color here, there's a lot of neutral happening. And again, that Sherwin-Williams sea salt color is really a transitional neutral color. And yes, there is a wedding photo on the wall to the left, but it is a singular wedding photo. It is not a whole entire wall, right? Okay. Next slide. Outdoor spaces. So we all love living outdoor. We did change this space up a little bit. We moved the couch, the outdoor couch in front of the TV. There was a lot of space. And this is an outdoor covered screened room, tongue and groove ceiling, very beautifully done. Right outside of that, it was so cool. This backyard was amazing. They had a bridge that went over a koi pond, and then it went down some steps into the ground, and it was a concrete round fire pit. It was really cool. This space was just amazing. And these were actually really good friends of mine. They moved to Illinois, made me very, very sad. But just, this is like a space that I want to go hang out more so than my living room, right? I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside. I want to hang out here. So who do you ask? Patricia wants to know, who do you ask about design trends to keep up with the trends? Honestly, guys, if you know me, you know I'm super nerdy. So it's just something that I look up on my own. But just get used to stopping into furniture stores, Restoration Hardware. They'll send you a big book, and it's thick. Like it's a huge, thick magazine. And if you don't have the magazine sent to your house, then just look online. Go to Restoration Hardware, go to Pottery Barn, right? Even go to Rooms to Go, because they're pretty good on trying to keep up with the trends at a lesser dollar amount, right? But Restoration Hardware, you can replicate what they have at stores that are lower end. Thank you for posting that, restorationhardware.com, rh.com. If you live in the Clearwater area, there's actually a Restoration Hardware outlet, and I love stopping in there. It's like I'm a kid in a candy shop. So also just go online and Google what are the 2024 paint trends of the year. I don't have to go to the store to do that. I can go online and do it. But just a little research each year, guys. Just stop and look at your magazines that you're getting. The other thing that you can look at is, I don't know if you guys get those magazines. They're advertisements for local companies that do kitchen remodels and all of that. Look at those things. And of course, HGTV, and I talk about that here coming up, but pop onto HGTV every now and then. When you're falling asleep at night, if that's what you want to fall asleep to, at least just, you got to kind of open your eyes, right? You have to understand that gray is going out right now. Warmer colors are coming back in. So when I see people putting gray cabinets in, I'm like, uh-oh. Right? I hate to tell you this, but gray is going out. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, wait, don't go yet. No, go down. What are the top 2 generations of buyers who consider staging extremely or very important? Guys, this question's important because when you are working with the generations, you have to know what they're looking for and what's important to them. And our younger generations, that's a hint to this answer, our younger generations, they're not quite getting it. They don't have the vision. They may not want the big yard, right? They want a no-mow yard. Okay, next slide. Here's the answer. 48% of Generation Z buyers considered staging extremely or very important. Those are our folks born between 97 and 2012. And yes, this was from Zillow. Sorry, guys, I had to include it though. But this was a Zillow Consumer Housing Trend Report from 2019. I'm imagining that number is probably higher now. All right, and then the other one, 48% of Generation Z. Next slide says 40% of millennials. Now, we all know that our millennials, they stayed at home a little longer. They saved their money. We have a lot of millennial buyers right now. And those are our folks born between 81 and 96. So that's my nieces and nephews right there, my little millennials. Next slide, please. So we want to optimize the space. Now, these are before photos. This was actually a family friend who their property was in probate. Mom had passed away, and Mom Willie was not keen on doing updates. After Mom passed, they did allow a tenant to stay there. Now, if you look at that dark, sad photo on the bottom left corner, that's how the tenant had the property furnished, or I guess furnished, we would say, right? And so if you look to the left, that's a pass through to the kitchen window. She had huge TV stand and shelves, right? And guys, those are out. So if you have like those old school TV stands, no more. They don't look good in photos and people don't want them. But she also had a TV on it that was blocking the pass through. And if you look beyond to the end, she also had a huge sectional couch that was blocking that back sunroom. And the clients that I was working with at the time had asked if we could just sell the property with the tenant in place. I'm not even going to go there contractually. Y'all know I'm a contract nerd, but that's problematic for a few different reasons. But I will never show a property with the furniture like this. So The tenant didn't want to move the furniture. It was a no-go for me. So I said, let's just wait for her lease to end. And we're going to re-stage the property. So furniture placement, guys, that's the whole thing. We need to optimize the space and give vision. The other thing about this property is there's not a lot of wall space. So where do I put my TV? How do I add a dining room table? Where are we going to eat? How do I have spaces to entertain? This is a tiny, tiny place. So we have to open floor plans and we have to give a natural flow. So next slide is the after. Maybe. Does anyone see the next slide? I don't see it yet. There it is. So a lot of our feedback, because initially we didn't have it staged, we left it vacant and open. Our feedback was, where do I put my TV? And a lot of people said, well, if I'm cooking in the kitchen, I want to be able to watch TV. So we designed a conversation area where someone might have probably put the dining room table, but we wanted to make it a cozy area. And then we put the dining room table in front of the window because we had a lot of space to use in that living room. And if someone had a TV that they could hang on the wall, there's tons of wall space there to hang a big TV. But then we also created a cozy little entertainment area with another little TV on the wall in the sunroom. And that sunroom actually also led to a patio for more outside entertaining space. So we utilized the best that we could with the space that we had to try to give vision, add a little bit of some color pops here and there as well. So we used what we had, we used what we could. We had this stuff in storage and it just worked out really well with the space. Next slide. So remember how I talked about yard space? Listen, I can't take any credit for this yard. My clients did this. It was an amazing space in a community called Astoria. They made the property appealing. When they built the home, they actually had the back covered patio extended out and across more of the back of the house. So they actually had an outdoor living area. They had a gas hookup for the grill. So just sometimes small investments, even just creating space outside. If you see those two green chairs, that was actually a little beach area that they designed. So they did a little bit of Florida-friendly landscaping in the flower beds with some coquina crushed up shells, but they made the property appear more valuable by presenting it in the best light possible because these yard sizes were small. And if you looked at the neighbors' yards compared to this one, they looked really sad. So this was a lot of just great color and texture in the backyard. So sometimes these little simple investments with potted plants, little areas to create some intimate spaces inside and outside, clean landscaping, it can yield a much higher return. There's a little more story to this house, but I'll get to that later on. Next slide, please. So this is actually my children's godfather's house. And he remodeled the kitchen back in the early 2000s when that kind of cherry, darker wood color, the Ubatuba granite. Y'all remember Ubatuba? It's like that dark granite with a little bit of green in it, right? So it was just very dark in there. The floors were also just kind of the original fake wood tile. So it just kind of had a red tinge to it, just felt really dated. Now, we weren't going to replace the granite, but I have an amazing person who paints cabinets, and it's like it came from the factory. It sticks well, it doesn't scrape. You guys can't skimp out on cabinet painting. You just can't get a roller and paint it because it will scrape up. But if you notice how much brighter this space looks, it's just a completely different transition. Next slide. So here's the kitchen. If you see that top left corner, that was, again, the original cabinet color. That was the cabinet next to the microwave. So rather than replacing cabinets and spending all that money, and just think about it, see this floor color, and we also had that cabinet color. It was overwhelming. So we just had them professionally painted, and it just transformed the space and brightened it up completely. And we did end up getting multiple offers on this property. The other thing is, you know, this house was a fairly large home, so it had a few different spaces in it, but this was the space where you would congregate. It had triple sliders to the pool. On the other side of the window for the sink, there was an outdoor kitchen that backed up to a conservation. So we really wanted this space to be inviting, light, and bright. Next slide. Psychological triggers. So we want to create an environment that's welcoming. We want scents, we want sounds, and we want sights, right? We have to appeal to the senses. Now, not everyone can bake cookies, and if you're me and you're not a baker, you're burning them, and that's a horrible smell. But you can get little tarts, and they smell great. You just plug it in. At the end of your open house, you unplug it, let the wax from the tart get cool and solidify. But you just want to create that, right? So my two favorite scents are the cookie smell and the clean laundry. One thing I cannot stand is walking into a property and the plugins are so bad, I get a stomach ache immediately. So we want to do things like playing soft music. What I like to do at my open houses is the steel drum. There's a steel drum channel on Pandora. That's what I use. And they actually have current music though. So it's like really cool music, but it's steel drums. So I have that playing in the background. I have my little tart burner, right? And sometimes if I can't bring the tart burner or I'm in a hurry, then I'll have my iPad and I'll have something going in the background. And I do bring plugins in my little emergency kit, but it's on the lightest dial, and it's one. It's not every room, right? So fresh flowers also can be very welcoming and appealing. Now, I don't always recommend them in photos because they can get in the way of the vision, right? But this was strategically placed in the window at this angle where it doesn't impact any view, but it just gives a little bit of softness, right? So we just got to go for that visual appeal. And it also gives a little pop of color that pulls the colors from the rug that was in the kitchen as well. Next slide, please. Okay, guys, this is that home that had the amazing backyard, but on the inside of the home, it smelled like dog pee. So we had to do a lot of work to get rid of that dog pee. And I love animals. I am the hugest animal lover, but I don't love their odors in a home, and neither do buyers. And you have to get very comfortable with your clients and letting them know that their house smells. Because when they get feedback that says it smells, they're going to ask you why you didn't say anything. And then that's going to probably bring up some trust issues. Next slide. So 75% of sellers see a return on investment of 5 to 15% over the asking price when they choose to stage their home. Now, this is a state of the industry benchmarking report from the Real Estate Staging Association from 2021. Next slide, please. This says that 20% of both buyer's agents and seller's agents that were polled said that it can increase the value of 1 to 5%. In my current market, that's probably true. If you're in a South Florida market, it could bring those higher returns. But this is from NAR. So 20% felt like there was an increase, which while may not being a higher number, it can, it can help. Patricia's asking about cigarette smells. And yeah, you can do an ozone machine. Those do help. A blue light sensor on the HVAC can help. I have an HVAC guy that says, honestly, cleaning the vents isn't always going to help. It's just better to replace them. But really just getting rid of everything that would absorb cigarette smell, repainting with Kills, that's gonna make it better.
That's where it sticks most times, the walls. But you can also use charcoal in a room too. You can put a bag of charcoal out and it helps absorb.
So this is going to sound morbidly gross, but I'm not even going to go to what I have, but I have connections in law enforcement for different reasons. And they actually, the people, if there is a body found in a home, that obviously can leave a smell. And there is a liquid solution that they use in the home that helps get rid of that smell. So if anyone has that connection or an availability to get that liquid, I can't remember the name of it, but it's got 2 channels or 2 containers that you squeeze together, and then you put it like in the corner of each room. Anyways, Google it and research it, but that also helps. But yes, the ozone machine, the blue light on the air conditioner, getting rid of everything that absorbs the cigarette smell, deep cleaning, painting with Kills, including the ceiling, right? All of that needs to happen. Next slide. We're almost to the end, guys. Listen, remember earlier how I asked, or I told you guys that we were going to talk about HGTV? I'm sure we all love HGTV, but this is how it's impacted our business. 73% of agents said it has set unrealistic expectations and increased expectations of our buyers. 73%. That's a huge number. 55% of buyers felt like there's higher expectations of how a home should look, right? So the agents working with buyers felt like 55%, over half, have higher expectations of how homes should look. Guys, you need to remember this. It's important. 26% felt like it educated home buyers and sellers more. 9% said it shortened clients' time frames. 2% said it lengthened their time frame, meaning their time to look and buy. And I don't know what the other is. 5% felt like there was some other, right? So just remember these numbers. It's important. That's all I can tell you guys. Next slide. All right. So here's my recap. Yes, staging psychologically impacts how we show a property and how we stage it and list it, right? It totally helps. 27% of sellers agents stated that there were slight decreases in the time on the market. So 27% of agents who list homes felt like it decreased the time on the market. But even if it doesn't, it at least helps give vision. Just like that little probate condo that I had where people were like, where do I put a TV? How do I entertain? Well, we created that vision, right? That's our job. Our job is to do everything we can. And yeah, I spend a lot of time staging, a lot. But at the end of the day, this photo is a celebration at closing. And that's where we want to get to for our clients. Next slide, please. All right. As we all know, you guys know I love referrals and I will take the best care of your clients. However, if you want that profile of home staging from NAR, I have that. You guys can text me your first and last name, your email, and your cell phone, and what brokerage you're at, just so I know who I'm talking to. And I am happy to send you the data that I shared with you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, even if it's contract questions, because I love that. But if you have questions regarding staging, feel free to reach out as well. I hope you guys are very prosperous for the rest of 2024. Sell lots of homes, but be the best agent you can to your clients. And part of that is staging. Thanks, guys, for your time. I really appreciate you. Any questions? We're at the end of our hour, so if you do, just text me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. We appreciate you. We are right up at the minute. I am going to take a very, very, very short break real quick, put some music on, and we're going to have Julia Wright come on, and she's going to talk to us about staging as well. She's going to go into advanced staging. So join us here in just a minute. I'm going to go grab a drink real quick, and we'll be right back.
Bye, guys.
Numbers got a star, a real estate queen. Julia writes the name, staging's her scene. Keller Williams agent, she knows the score. Teaching advanced tricks you ain't heard before. Hey, hey, Julie, you're right, show us the way to stage a home so it sells in a day. She's got the moves, she's got the style. With her on your team, you'll be walking a mile. Oh, get the old tricks, the dusty drapes. Julia's got ideas that'll make you gape. From virtual tours to feng shui flair, she'll transform your listing, make buyers stare. Hey, hey, Julie, you're right, show us the way to stage a home so it sells in a day. She's got the moves, she's got the style. With her on your team, you'll be walking a mile. Oh. Forget the old tricks, the dusty drapes. Julia's got ideas that'll make you gape. From virtual tours to feng shui flair, she'll transform your listing, make buyers stare. Hey, hey, Julie, you're right, show us the way to stage a home so it sells in a day. She's got the moves, she's got the style. With her on your team, you'll be walking a mile. Oh. So ditch the dough, embrace
Hello and welcome back again. My name is Ryan Yarbrough and I am your Regional Technology Director for South Florida Region. And we are talking staging and photography today. We've had two amazing guests. We started off with our photographer who gave us tips and tricks on how to set up for the best photography before we even get into listing the home. And then we also had Tony Benton come on and talk about the psychology of staging. And now I'm going to have the amazing Julia Wright come on, and she's going to talk to us about advanced staging techniques. Welcome, Julia. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Well, I'm in the Tampa Properties office. I've been a realtor for 8 years, started with Keller Williams. Prior to that, I worked law enforcement. I worked for federal district judge. So I came from a completely different field. The funny thing was, when I was a child living in Savannah, Georgia, my mother was the one that used to take photos of the multiple listing and create the books for the multiple listing service. Let me grab one real quick.
I remember those things hit me in the head.
Yeah, so it's wild. I didn't even think about showing that, but it was the books that you had to weed through and find homes that you liked. So here, fast forward, in my mid 40s, 8 years ago, I got my real estate license, and I've done pretty well with it. So
I'd say you're in the top 20% of the region.
Yes, yes. I actually outside my window, my office window, I have the actual top 1% sign that I love.
Nice.
So I'm really excited. They're great agents all in this area. So, I'm blessed to have learned from some really great people too.
And we're blessed to have you on today. We're going to do this interview style. So we're going to I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions that I had prepared ahead of time, and I will go over those with you. Anything that you wanted to say before we get started?
Actually, I just Tony did an amazing job. This is the first time I've done this, so I wasn't sure. I've had a really crazy week, so when I saw that she was doing such an amazing PowerPoint, I froze and freaked out. So kudos to Tony. But she's amazing.
We got many
So,
different styles. We got many different styles. And during
styles.
this, sometimes it's nice to hear different questions. And I want to also, well, before we start off with this, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to use that chat. It's very helpful to have that up there. And we get to see who it is that's putting the question up there. So if you're on Facebook, just put the chat box what your question is. And if you're on YouTube, feel free to do the same thing. Let's see. Let's go start off with our first question. So what are some more advanced staging strategies that you use for high-end properties?
So my higher end properties, sometimes I have brought in some furniture. Or what I've done also is I've actually had a stager come in if they do have nice items, but we just need to move some items around. I've brought in like Kim Magnuson. She's amazing, and she's taken care and tweaked homes for me. Then I have, of course, the virtual staging. When you don't grow up with money, and you're working in a luxury atmosphere now, like I am, and my lowest sale last year was 30,000. My highest was 2.1 million last year. So, I don't just do one set type of listing, but I always am trying to save my clients money. Even though it's staging, you can make more money. So one of the options I have is virtual staging. So with virtual staging, of course, if the home's empty or, some items need to be added to the room to make it pop, I do that. Also, you also have the Twilight. Instead of waiting for the evening for the light to go down to do Twilight photos of the outside, my photographer can do the editing to make it look, more high end. Then also, of course, reels and videos and the Matterport. I always joke, with my ADHD, Matterport sort of, I'm pressing the button really fast trying to get to the next room. But everyone is different. We know that. But those are some of the things I do for the higher end homes.
Okay. And for luxury versus modest properties, do you have any specific approaches there?
Yeah. So with my, if we're looking anywhere from, of course, Tampa, Hillsborough County, the Tampa Bay area, 700,000 and up is what our threshold is for luxury. Last I looked, probably 2-3 months ago. And so with my luxury, I'm going to do the extra. I'm going to do the Twilight. I'm going to do the Matterport. I'm going to do the videos. I'm going to make sure that, those homes are ready and set. And on top of it, of course, I've gone through and, moved items if we've needed to, or made a room bare, so I can virtually stage it, if they don't have the right furniture. So yes, there is a difference. I would definitely spend more on the more luxury.
Have you actually seen a difference in your sales when it comes to staged versus unstaged?
Yes, definitely. You draw more people in. The one thing about staging homes and virtual staging is obviously people cannot fathom where furniture can be placed. And that's really why I really started getting into it, because I would be showing even buyers and they're like, well, this is, I'm not sure, where would I put this? Where would I put that? I'm like, and you think common sense, and like, you've got this space here and you put this here. And so it was definitely needed. As far as even bringing in a stager or even somebody to utilize what they have in place, saves, I mean, just so much time also. And also as far as prepping the home for moving and getting rid of the non-essentials that are in the home. So yes, I would say most of my staged homes, I mean, they are selling, going under contract within the first week or two, as long as it's priced right. Of course, the past 2.5 weeks, we've had a lull, but I still want to make sure that it's seen, because, our buyers are literally looking at the internet and within seconds are wanting to see something, and they want to see something they like. And
first impressions, that's good. One of the, do you even make it to open houses a lot of times, or are you guys selling them so fast that you can't get to the open house?
I would say, of course, last year, we would have multiple offers, by the time we have the open houses. I like listing on a Thursday to prepare for the weekend for buyers getting out there, open houses. And one reason I like to do my open houses is I tend to have, people walking in without agents. And, and even that looky-loo neighbor, you never know when they're going to list. I've done an open house where somebody's like, it was super busy. And this woman, I greeted her. She's like, honey, you're fine. I'm a neighbor. You just go take care of them. I'll be right over here. I just want to look around. And as it, quieted down some and some people dispersed, I asked, is there any questions you had? She's like, no, honey, I like how you handled yourself. I want you to come, sell my house. So, the open houses, it drives so much more. And if they see that you have prepared different things and have the house ready and you can explain it, you're spot on. It's perfect.
That was great. You actually answered my next question without me even having to ask it. So thank you. I was going to ask you next. So have you seen a difference between people coming to your open house and whether that's led to more business because of them seeing the home stage? So
yes, it leads to so much more business. And, and with the virtual staging, it's a minimal cost to having a stager, furniture brought in. The average stager wants, 3-month minimum, $3,000 to maybe have, 3 or 4 rooms done, and then you have the concerns of when they're bringing the furniture, damage done, things on the walls, damage done. And where virtual staging is so minimal. I mean, there's so many different processes out there that, you could have your photos done and then send them away to have a company do it, like Box Brownie or Vistal. And then you even have, Heather Kane has an amazing program called Style Design by Design. And I have like the different websites set up where I could pop through them if you wanted. I don't know if you have control.
That'd be great. So when it comes to staging virtually, does that create any challenges when people come to the open house and they see that there's no furniture there?
Right. So what I do when I do that is I actually post the photos. So I print the photos and I'll have them on easels, in there. And then of course, with all my listings, I have a nice binder when people come in. So they have, the MLS sheet, then all the photos, because you can print all the photo pages. And then sometimes like in one, I have actually them enlarged with the rooms done. But I have these, I'll print them up and then sometimes if I can put them on the ledge in the room, I put them there, but primarily I put it in the kitchen on the counter with all the, with the little easels, and it just gives them a whole idea of where it can be. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, I've had people go, they moved out. And I said, well, actually that they had already moved out and we had a virtually stage. And they're like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, well, this is fake. It's all done, electronically, and I've even had it to where the table in the very back is done. And you're like, what? And a little photo in the very back. And I've got photos to show too. If you'd like to see those, we can put those up. Do you have control or do I just pull up my computer?
You do have control, and I also have control. So however you want to do it.
Okay, so if I go, stop me.
Patricia's wanting to know if you enlarge your photos. Just to hit the present button at the bottom, just like you would on Zoom, and then it'll let you choose where
Share
from.
screen. I apologize for not being very prepared. So, now it's a whole.
We just appreciate you sharing with us today.
Okay, window. So if I go to my window, entire screen, that is not it. Oh gosh. So if I want to go down to like my saved on my computer, oh, here it is. Okay, so then I share. So are you seeing the plain room?
We see your folder that has all the photos in it.
Okay, so if I double click on that, on one of the photos, is it showing?
No, it's still showing the folder because you specified the folder.
Oh, okay. I'm a little embarrassed. Let's see. I'm not even sure.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. If you can get it, I would click on the photo first, and then once you have the photo up, we'll share that screen.
Okay, so let me do that. So we have intermission music going right now.
You get your music going again?
Oh my gosh, I'm so like technical difficulties. Not used to doing it this way. Let me see. I had them up a different way. Let's see, listing resources, staged photos. Okay, so if I have that, and then I go back to you and do share screen. It's not pulling that photo.
Just do the go to present and then go to share screen.
Window. Oh, here's window.
There you go.
Okay, share. So like this is one of my listings right now. It's listed for 1.3 million in Odessa. So you have the before and the after. And then, you know, the master. So it gives you an idea of all the room you have in the room. I like keeping it nice and sparse and clean and neat. Then the living room. You know, you've got the table, just enough, you know, and these alcoves, you're like, oh, what do we do with this? Oh, I just put plants in for now, you know. Then you have, you know, this one was an expired listing with another agent. I took it over. Oop, it didn't have the after there. Should have been there. I apologize. I had them in order. Well, this is another one where, you know, the dining room was there, but we needed something in here. Another one of my luxury listings. So we did this just to give an idea of the space. That was before. Oh, there's the other one, the one that with the gray back here. So, you know, I prepped them so that, you know, this one was an older home, you know, obviously the pergo and everything, but just to give an idea what you could do with the space. This was upstairs, or like, it had a bathroom, but it was like an enormous loft area. So this could provide as another room. These are also virtual staged ones, the same older home. And then of course the Twilight.
Yep.
And then Twilight. So it gives you, and you know, obviously it's amazing. It really helps with the sell. It pops. It helps with your marketing. Use these photos for all these different things. And then one of the sites, the websites I use, so instead of sending the photos to Brock's Brownie or any of these others, is I actually use a website called Virtual Stager. And I know the 20-80 rule, and, you know, I should be sending all this off to people, but I tend to, like, I'm a, you know, little power hungry with my photos and how I want it done. And so I tend to stage a lot of them myself. And so I use Virtual Stager, which cost me about $10 per photo to do versus sending it to my, you know, my photographer doing it and sending it to somebody at $35. Box Brownie is a wonderful site that if you sent them, bulk, 8 or more photos, it's like $24 each. So, and that's, really nice. And the one thing about like Style to Design and some of these other companies is you can actually even change the color, have them change the color of the walls, have them change the color of the home, even, virtually stage like the kitchen and make it a whole new kitchen with an island and changing the cabinets. I know a lot of people, and I, haven't really, I want to use it and I just haven't gotten into it yet. Time is not my friend right now, but they have a really great way of doing it too. I see easels as a good idea. Yeah, so I do enlarge them and I put them on easels. Sometimes I've even done a whole, display showing the differences. And
What was it that you were saying that you wanted to try?
Excuse me?
You said you had some friends that were trying type of staging and you wanted to try?
Yes. So I don't know if let me share my screen again and share screen and go to like Style by Design. So she is, Heather Kane started this. And can you see that? So you've got your before what the house looked like, the Mediterranean, to a more modern look with the white. So what her staging does is you send them the photos. You can still have this photo, but then show, look what you could do. For those people that cannot be creative and cannot figure out what they want to do. And then like this kitchen. So this kitchen is the great example of, wow, it's like completely different look. So, and then she's had it where she can even, you put in, can change the whole configuration of the home and the island and everything. So let me go back. So oops, go back to stop screen. Okay. So, there's so many, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit. I apologize.
Okay, I think that's important.
There's so many possibilities. And I see, what are your thoughts about regarding going on the market on the 4th of July weekend? I will not go live on the 4th of July weekend. I have found that, 4th of July week, the market goes, whoop, and then picks back up after 4th of July week. I actually have a new listing that could be ready the first week of July, and we're waiting till July 11th to go live. So I know that Patricia asked it. So
just depends. I mean, you got two different things there. People are on vacation, but also people are on vacation. So they have the time, but are they going to spend the time doing that? That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, you have those few people that use that as they get the days off and they use it as, going out and showing homes. But it's, I have just found, even I've looked at numbers over previous years to see, and it just really is a lull for me that week. So.
All right, so we've talked about your listings and how using some of the advanced techniques, such as using virtual staging, helps because you don't have to worry about the holes in the wall or even making the holes in the wall or moving big heavy furniture or anything like that, or even having storage for all that big heavy furniture. And the cost is significantly cheaper than actually having to stage a home itself. Can you explain the importance of creating a cohesive design theme throughout the home so that we're not just all over the place? Because that's something I struggle with. I know I'm divorced and I have my own home with my kids, and I went and painted my wall one of the colors that Tony was showing, but it's probably a little bit deeper. It was like it wasn't the saltwater or whatever she said. It was more of a teal, and then it was just too bright and it didn't work. And then I'm trying to put all these things all over the house and it just didn't work. For someone like me, that just doesn't work. So how could I create that cohesive look throughout the house?
Well, it's in with the, you bring the stager in. So like one of my listings, we listed it for 1.275. It was in Odessa. I wanted to list it for 1.3, but my seller was a little cautious, and we sold it for 1.4. And my stager physically came in, and I also did it to give him the confidence. He had lost his wife to breast cancer. They've, been in this home over 25 years, and the home showed well, but I wanted to make it a little more modern. So we brought her in, and I brought in some pieces, and it's really funny because I actually do have I'm like, where are those pillows at? Oh, they're at such and such home. Like I literally will I have a lot of different items that I tend to shuffle around in some homes. And by the time we close, I'm like, oh, look, I have my stuff back. But the cohesiveness is the flow. You want the flow. If you have, and my newest listing that went live this past week, we got an offer on last night. It had teal walls in the kitchen. It had a pink bedroom. And I'm not one to say you need to paint, but thank goodness they're like, oh, we're getting the painter in. And I was at a listing presentation last night, or a listing appointment last night, and the kitchen was half painted. I'm like, we have to finish painting. You need to get it to where you are walking in the house. And I tell people it needs to be not necessarily plain, but a clean slate that people are seeing it so they can feel themselves in the home. So you want the cohesiveness of the flow through the house. Even, setting up your photos in MLS. You don't want, I am mortified when I look at a listing and you're like, oh, front picture, master bedroom, kitchen, living room. And it's like they're all thrown in. Even setting up your photos for success to give that flow of when you're going into a home and it's a tour. You need that. I mean, on every listing. Now, you may have a house that's not so great inside, and you're like, oh, look, pretty outside. Oh, look at the pretty backyard. And then eventually you're going to have to come back inside. Because when I see 15 photos and I still haven't been inside the house, I'm like, something's wrong with the house, But the cohesiveness is, and now a theater room, people will go a little bright in theater rooms and the reds and the different things. But, you need to have that flow for the house and the colors. You don't need anything bright. You want cool colors. And there's the whole idea of, the color psychology that keeps you.
I was going to ask you, is there a psychology around color?
Yeah, there's a color psychology. Certain colors are not calming colors, but your whites, your creams, your tans, your blues, your greens, Now, if you want an energetic,
that makes me want to buy.
Yes, you do. And we don't want it to be stale and look like everybody else's. But in the same breath, you want it to look comforting. And, that's, and it's also the areas we're in too. If I was in New York City, you might have the multi-art, modern pop and, corners. But, when you're dealing with a lot of, homes and residential, it's a different way, and there's certain areas where it would be like a nice residential home for family. You want it to show that it would be like that. So, the calm, the soothing, the inviting, that's what we want.
Should I just paint the walls green if I want people to buy it? No?
Green? No. No. But, the calms. And what I tend to do is you have the calmer painted walls, and then you have the accents of the blues and the greens with it. So
Gotcha.
I love blue, so I tend to use a lot of blue.
A lot of blue. I would have to second that. I actually did something that Tony was saying earlier not to do anymore because it's kind of out of style. I went and took that teal wall, and I had a coral colored wall, and I painted back over them with very light gray, and then just accented the colors instead of actually putting it on the walls. That worked a lot better. It looks good to me, but she's saying this gray's going out of style now, so I guess I gotta rethink that.
Right, as you see my office, which has a lot in it, my Peloton, and but it's the light green walls. It's it's a calm, and
makes
I
me
wish
want to buy it. It's like all right. So, what about furniture? How do you utilize furniture when it comes to the decor? Is there a best? Is there a way of identifying the best path to using furniture in a room? I know you said you use a virtual stager. So, what is it? Some of the things you're looking to do when you're in that virtual stager to make that stage properly? Well,
in what's wild is I actually did bring in furniture to one of my listings, and it's the farmhouse white tables with the brown legs and the nice, you know, simple sofa and love seat and the blue pillows and, you know, and that's where a lot of my pillows are right now. But what you like to do is they call it a 3-5 rule. So, you know, you want to be able to have at least 3 feet of room walking around furniture. So if you have like a unique, you know, like chair and you want the little side table next to it with the, you know, the tchotchke on it, you know, just make sure, you know, you have 3 feet around the area. In the larger areas, like, you know, if you're walking into a foyer and things like that, you want at least 5 feet. You know, because I was viewing a house a few weeks ago and I walked in the foyer and they had the really nice, you know, table, the entrance and everything, but it was narrow. It needed to be out of there, you know, and it's funny because I'll walk through and like, that shouldn't really be there. You know, because you just feel like it's cramped. So the 3-5 rule is you have the space to be able to walk around. And so like in a grand room, you know, even in my virtual staging, it looks like you've got so many feet off the wall, you know. So if you know you've got the guest rooms over here and then you have another room in the back and the bonus room, well, instead of walking out, you know, you want to be able to just have that flow. So you have the feet between that back of the sofa and that wall. So you have the flow. So it's just, I always say less is more, but I will say, the one house that I did put some furniture into just recently, they had purged too much and I had to bring items back in to give it some comfort. It was just too sparse. And so, you know, there's a happy medium.
Is what you're saying?
Yes. She's like, they just made it look too impersonal, like to where I'm like, oh no, we need some more back in. So hence my pillows.
Like they're moving out.
Yes. No, actually, it looks like they had moved.
They're already gone.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Couple pieces left.
Yeah. And what's nice is the virtual staging is, my gosh, you click on it and you have your choice of like a farmhouse look, industrial look, bohemian. I mean, it has a lot of different options. So, and I've had, you know, like the one listing where I brought the stager in to move the items around for the gentleman who passed away. One of his rooms was full of boxes. That's where he was putting everything. Well, you know, you're listing a home, you know, over $1 million, you know, you don't want to walk in a room with just boxes. So we had him move those nicely to the garage. And then I virtually staged that one room. So
I like the idea of you said you have all those photos and you put them in a binder for your virtual staging. I also do binders for my listings and I put them in this nice little leather bound binder. And I have the photos that I put in the background and I usually give that binder to the person who buys the house after the sale. I think that's a nice little gift for them, but they also get to see those photos and it helps them, like you said, with maybe they don't know how to set the home up, just like I probably don't know how to set the home. So you've got a virtually staged home to help give them guidance on that. So that's a good idea.
Definitely. And I think it's very useful. And that's what's nice about even like the option of using style to design is, you know, it gives them an idea of what they can do if they wanted to change the kitchen, you know, instead of sitting there with a designer, you know, you've got these designs that you like. So, yeah.
Do you maybe share any experiences you've had with any success stories when it comes to staging some of these homes?
Yes. So I had probably my most unique one. Wow. I went in, it was 2 sisters who purchased the house together. One was married. So they bought a house in Carrollwood. And so the one married, they were going to be on this side of the house. They have the master suite and everything. And the other sister had the other side of the house. Well, that didn't work out. They could not live together. I walked into that listing and I was like, the tension was so thick. It was one of the worst divorces, basically. The sisters were barely speaking, the husband, and I didn't know who was the bad guy. It was just one of those. But there was so much furniture in the home because they merged 2 households. And of course, you know, they doubt everything you're saying. You know, they're not unsure of you. You show them the confidence. No, this is what needs to be done. So instead of you being the ultimate bad guy, I bring in my stager. And honestly, you know, here's the best part. She had it, she was trying to do for sale by owner on Zillow. And she had it listed for $775. I came in, there was a wall with all unique crosses, like the Celtic crosses and all these different things. And then you walked in the master and their furniture was just cramped. So again, we got everything out and I sold it for $825. And they were literally with her, and she had nice photos, but $775, $825. So that one was amazing. That one wasn't virtually staged. That one was bringing somebody in. But the virtual staging, it is amazing what you can do. I'm trying to think. It's very helpful, and it's helpful too to see people that come in that are maybe looking to buy and go into a larger home, seeing what you can do. So I had some people come into my open house Saturday. The house was a little higher than they wanted to pay. Well, they were impressed, and I was showing them some different things. She called me Sunday to come meet with them to help them buy a house and sell their house. So that's another one. It's just your marketing and your presentations are very important.
Have you encountered anything that's been particularly challenging during staging?
Some odd, when you have that odd shaped room and trying to figure out what to do with it, I guess it's just the spatial issues of when you're not sure how to set it up. But I haven't really had the issues. Oh, I'll tell you the biggest issue. I got fined $200 last year by Stellar MLS because I think it's tacky at the front of my description to state a room in this home may be virtually staged. And I didn't like it. So it was only, and the crazy, and then there was like 3 photos I had that were virtually staged that I did not have below it saying this room has been virtually staged. So of course somebody did a violation notice and I didn't even really catch it because I was so busy. And so I got $100 fine for not having it in the front of the narrative, or the description, and for the photos. So $200. So if you virtually stage, you have to put it in there. And I know somebody else in our office got fined because their Twilight photography did not say virtually staged, and you could sort of see the sun off to the side. But other than that, just know, there are people out there that are going to complain. And they're jealous. Yeah. So, but not with not with somebody coming in and being upset with it. They're impressed. I've not had one complaint.
What are some of the pitfalls from using virtually staged homes?
For marketing?
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't. So when I go into my listing presentations, I bring in, my whole booklet and what I can do and go over, this is what we're going to need to do, and let me show you if you decide you're moving out, no worries. I go through the photos. These are options we can do. Or if you would like to have my stager come in, no issues whatsoever. It's a fraction of the cost too, as bringing in furniture.
I understand you've been doing it for a while. So would you have any trends that you would maybe suggest, or anything that's popular that's been coming up over the past couple of years that you would suggest utilizing?
Well, a lot of people, what's coming up right now is, bringing in nature with your staging. They call it the biophilic design. And I do find it's warming, and it's really funny because I've never even thought of it, but every time I put like a plant, greenery in a room, even if it's something like, which way am I going? Small, the green makes the room pop. bringing nature in is actually something that a lot of people are embracing right now. And I've always liked it. I've always liked bringing in the plants. Then there's the trends as far as, of course, your lighting needs to be spot on. I mean, if I walk in a house, I remember replacing 13 light bulbs in one house once. It was an empty house. It was a nasty divorce. Nobody wanted to do anything. And lighting is so important. I got teased yesterday actually by a client because we were having photos done, and I'm walking through and I'm turning on all the lights and turning the fans off and getting it ready. And even, I mean, like, I hate it when I'm looking at photos and a toilet seat's up. Like, I freak out when I'm looking at listings like that. Furniture selection, you don't want to grab something that's an old looking type of furniture. I mean, it's all, it's textiles and patterns. You want them, to mesh well with what you're working with, and and have that flow and that comfort.
How about the use of technology?
Excuse me?
How about the use of technology in the home?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the smart home features. It's funny because, like, my recent listing, I'm walking through and I'm like, the one touch buttons and everything, and the certain homes, and I will say with luxury, is when you start, you are having issues going in, figuring out how to use things, that other agent's going to have problems. So my higher end listings, I meet people, I will be at the showing if I find that it's something where, the technology is difficult to use, or there's, you need this to make this operate. And even like the grotto waterfall I have at one of mine, so the smart technology, and I've even had one where I'm like, why can't I get this on? And my client's like, oh, sorry, I need to do that for you. So it's always a good question to ask, your clients, if they have the gadgets in the home, that, to explain them. You asked if
cameras and stuff, like when people put their cameras up in the home stuff.
Yeah. And of course, with the cameras, you're supposed to disclose if it, if there's audio, if you can record, you can hear. I just basically always warn my clients, we're not going to talk numbers. Let's not be rude. And, if something's yucky in the house, let's not say it. You never know. But yeah, I feel like you're always being watched. Even my own home, I have 3 home cameras around, outside. And, so it's the smart, you just never know. And when you're leaving, I always lock up, and if there's a Ring doorbell or whatever, I'm like, thank you so much. Your house is lovely. Cause I want to work towards that seller liking me,
Right.
Selling my last home. I had an agent criticizing something I had in the front of the house, and it, happened to be something that had belonged to my mother, and it was very sentimental to me. And she's like, why would you blah, 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 blah. And the people liked it, but the agent kept, and so again, they didn't bring an offer.
We need to do more closing our mouths, not so much,
right.
more closing our mouths, more listening.
Right. And even presenting homes and everything, I don't criticize a home, because I learned a long time ago when I thought one of the homes was just, there's no way he'll like this home. He loved it. It's not up to us. It's their taste. It's what they like. We are there just to guide them and make sure if there's something wrong with the house, and proceed that way. We're not supposed to talk them out of homes or point out everything wrong unless it's, something wrong with the home. White light. Yes. White light is great. You want, unless there are some issues with the home where you don't want it to see so well, I do like using white light. Yeah.
So it depends on the area.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In some areas, you actually do want a more warm light. So if you're in a living room, it's a little more cozy living room. You want some more warm light, just kind of show that off. Mm-hmm. But it just depends on their space, I think.
Right, definitely.
Not that I know.
Yeah, well, even in my kitchen,
I put color on
we have can lights, but then we also have cascading lights. And the cascading
Yeah.
lights we have are the Edison bulbs, the warm light. I prefer that. Now, those are usually almost always on. When we switch them, I'm like, woo, it's just
Yes,
for like
stop.
those. Yes. But yeah, so I'm trying to think what else,
Got another comment here that was in here. Nancy Ward says that
Oh.
the seller is happy with enhancing a listing and buyers show up. It's a win. 100%.
Right.
So it's a win if they're happy.
Yeah, I mean, we are there to market the home as well as possible. Even editing, if you look, even the way the home's set up in the photos, like you need a good photographer, you need everything, to stage the home from start to finish. Don't skimp on photos. I mean, I've even said, a $30,000 property, I still had my photographer out there with drone photography and everything. The photos are what are going to draw people in. People are on the internet constantly. You want to show the best. And if you have a 1,500 square foot home, you do not use 100 photos. Okay. Just expired listing I took that is now under contract. I've had it a week and it's under contract. She had 83 photos. I had 40, I think it was 42.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you also, if you put too much in there, people are not going to want to see the home, and you may put an angle that doesn't look right. And that one is one of the ones I showed that was staged, the living room. So it's very
When
important.
you're working with the sellers, though, do you just kind of go and stage it yourself, or do you consult with them on what you're going to do? What does that look like?
So if it is if it's furnished and I bring this, I will go, okay, well, yesterday I had photos done at 1 and I'm like, okay, these are moving. And yes. So I go through and I'm like, do you mind if I move anything? No. It's, and then it's funny because I go, oh, okay, well, I'll put it back when you're done. I'm like, it's best it does not go back up. Like, the throw blankets on the sofa and, what was some of the other things? Oh, and she has a centerpiece on this huge, beautiful white quartz island. And in the centerpiece has these gnomes. And I'm like, okay, the gnomes, I like them, but they need to go. So, they trust you get to a point or like they just want the home sold. So, I'll ask them, is there anything that I should not move? Is there anything, that, like I've even said, photos down, this is what we need. And I've had somebody go, well, that one photo I'd like to remain up because it's, my mom, blah, by all means, so we move things around. I ask if it's okay if I bring somebody in to help move it. The gentleman whose wife had passed, there was sea glass that they had actually found every time they went to the beach. Well, he goes, Julia, they didn't know that they used the sea glass. It's over there, and I'm like, I'm sorry. You should have told her. And he goes, well, I didn't want to interrupt. And I go, well, don't worry. It's okay. So it was in a jar and she had spread it into this little tray and put candles and he hadn't warned her. But I've not had, if anything, I've had clients call me and go, where'd you do it? Such and such, sometimes I've put it down in the cabinet. But no, I mean, they trust you. They want to see the best. And, and if they, sometimes I've had one recently where she didn't like one of the photos in there, the seller. I'm like, okay, take it out. It's, you work with them. We are working for them. We want them to be happy. On mid-price homes, how do you present staging a seller for them to bank the expense? So on mid-price homes, you do show, the before and afters on an empty home versus a home with furniture. Which one would you like better? Here's the numbers of, if you stage, homes are apt to sell at price or higher, so, you just go through the numbers with them. The nice thing with, virtual staging, and you present them and some of them are like, that's great. Of course, your Uber luxury your uber luxury, and I'm saying, 2 million and up, I would have a stager come in and bring furniture. On virtual, you can get away with some of it. I think I haven't virtually staged anything over 2. We've brought furniture in, or it was furnished, and we just moved items around. Does that answer the question?
I think it does. And I'm going to give you one last question before we go, because we're about out of time. What advice would you give to someone looking to advance their career when it comes to home staging, or just in real estate in general using staging?
Just to show you have the knowledge, the capability. It's just very important to have that presented, that you have these, just like with any vendor, you have your stagers, you have your professional photographer, and the options, and show them the numbers of how much more money you can make with staging, and the importance of it, and that you're a true professional and you have these options. So, and I even say, even if you're a new agent, never let them know how new you are. Never let the co-broker know. I mean, it's your presence and your confidence and what you can provide is what's important.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is there anything I didn't ask you? Gone over?
No, I mean, it's, who do you recommend? Is this, well, and I really have used Kim Magnuson a lot with, oh my God, I just want to blank on her company's name. I've had a crazy week. Let me see. Kim's great because she's got a great presence with her. And I have had, Kim, Tampa Bay Home Staging is who I really like. She's just a good personality. Like with that, the sisters that were basically getting divorced and having to sell the house, she was the perfect person to go in with them. So you want somebody that's not going to be afraid of that seller following them around going, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yes, thank you. So Kim is great. And then, if you want to email me, I can even send you the other virtual staging sites that I use. And I know they put the style of design in there. But it's...
If they wanted to reach out to you and maybe either for information or just to send you a referral, how would they do that?
I am putting in my kw.com. I'm putting in my email and my phone number. And I thought that Tony and I were doing this together for the 50 minutes, and I thought I would go back and forth. So it's sort of funny. No, I love Ryan. So I just put in my email. Oh, my email didn't go through. Oh, yes, my email and my phone number. Yeah, and anything you need, I'm here to help. I love explaining this stuff. I do think it's very important, and I don't virtually stage every photo I use, but it's important just to have the key ones in there because you could get very expensive, 50 photos, and you might as well bring in the furniture. But it's an economic way to do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for spending time with me today. I know you had to squeeze into your schedule, so it's much appreciated. And we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and myself and maybe a few of the other market center tech trainers from around the region are going to do a session, and we're going to actually dive into some of these technologies used to do some of this virtual staging and photography type of work that you could use on your own if you needed to. So come back to us here shortly, and we will start back up at 12 o'clock with that session. So take a quick break, go to the bathroom, get a drink, do what you need to do, and we'll see you here in about 6 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Right.
I'm putting in my email.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, that was awful. Oh, am I still on?
From
lands to the city streets. Keller Williams, we bring the heat. Ain't just selling houses, we crafting dreams, staging homes, money making schemes. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip hop salute. Care for our clients, heart and soul, turning houses into homes. That's our goal. A little paint, a touch of flair, rearrange the furniture, show we care. Curb appeal, make it shine so bright. Buyers fall in love at first sight. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip-hop salute. Care for our clients, heart and soul, turning houses into homes. That's our goal. Oh. A little paint, a touch of flair, rearrange the furniture, show we care. Curb appeal, make it shine so bright. Buyers fall in love at first sight. A little paint, a touch of flair, rearrange the furniture, show we care. Curb appeal, make it shine so bright. Buyers fall in love at first sight. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip-hop salute. Care for our clients, heart and soul, turning houses into homes. That's our goal. It's more than a transaction, it's a bond we build. Trust and loyalty, that's how we yield. Negotiate with finesse, a win-win solution. Happy clients, that's our reputation. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip-hop salute. Care for our clients, heart and soul, turning houses into homes. That's our goal. So if you're looking for a real estate team, Keller Williams is the name you dream. We'll make your property sing. That's our vow. Top dollar closings, that's what we're about. From the ranch lands to the city streets, Keller Williams, we bring the heat. Ain't just selling houses, we crafting dreams, staging homes, money making schemes. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip-hop salute. Care for our clients, heart and soul, turning houses into homes. That's our goal. A little paint, a touch of flair, rearrange the furniture, show we care. Curb appeal, make it shine so bright. Buyers fall in love at first sight. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip-hop salute. Care for our clients, heart and soul, turning houses into homes. That's our goal. Oh. A little paint, a touch of flair, rearrange the furniture, show we care. Curb appeal, make it shine so bright. Buyers fall in love at first sight. A little paint, a touch of flair, rearrange the furniture, show we care. Curb appeal, make it shine so bright. Buyers fall in love at first sight. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip-hop salute. Care for our clients, heart and soul, turning houses into homes. That's our goal. It's more than a transaction, it's a bond we build. Trust and loyalty, that's how we yield. Negotiate with finesse, a win-win solution. Happy clients, that's our reputation. We're the KW crew, boots and suits, country charm with a hip-hop sunshine every day. We're the top agents paving the way. Listings on fire, every property's prime. With KW Command, it's our time to shine. Stages so tight, photos looking bright. Virtual tours in the digital light. Tech on our side, we rise and expand. In South Florida, we take command. Take command of your listings, make a brand. From the beaches to the city, take a stand. High sales, big deals in our hands. Together we thrive in this vibrant land. Take command. Feel the beat, take a stand. Tech and talent in demand. South Florida, we command. Boats on the water, vibe so cool. Open houses packed, yeah, that's the rule. From Coconut Grove to Boca Shore, every listen we touch, clients want more. Professional shots, every angle right. Staging perfection, the buyers delight. With KW Command, our reach expands. In South Florida, we take command. Take command of your listings, make a brand. From the beaches to the city, take a stand. High sales, big deals in our hands. Together we thrive in this vibrant land. Professional shots, they want to see the future of real estate, that's our key. Tech savvy smart plans, here's the demand. In South Florida, we take command. Take command of your listings, make a brand. Take command from the beaches to the city, take a stand. High sales, big deals in our hands. Together we thrive in this vibrant land. Take command. Feel the beat, take a stand. Tech and talent in demand. South Florida, we command. Yeah, we take command. Listings in our hands. South Florida life, it's so grand. From sunrise to sunset, we make a stand. In the real estate world, we command. Take command. Feel the beat, take a stand. Tech and talent in demand. South Florida, we command. Yeah, we take command. Listings in our hands. South Florida life, it's so grand. From sunrise to sunset, we make a stand. In the real estate world, we command. In the city lights, we ignite the night. Agents on the rise, let's set the listings right. From staging to the show, we're ready to go. Take command of the game, watch the profits grow. Feel the energy, it's time to shine. With every open house, the stars align. Tech at our fingertips, let's take control. In the world of real estate, we own the role. Take command, we're leading the way. With every move, we're here to stay. Listings high, sales in hand.
Welcome back. For those of you who are still watching, I really appreciate you. You are amazing. And for those of you watching the recording, yes, there's a recording, and it lives right on our YouTube channel, and it also lives on our regional page for Facebook. Thank you very, very, very much. I'm going to show you some tech pieces here that we've talked about today, because you've heard people bring up these different technologies. And I didn't want to keep on interrupting to just show them during that time. So I wanted to hold the last hour so that us as your tech trainers, I'm your regional tech trainer, can come in and show you some of these technologies. So I'm going to share my screen and show you a few of these places. The first thing I wanted to show off is going to be, this is the website that we have for our first speaker, Twilight Images. They are in the process of updating this, but they do offer quite a few different services. So bring that up real quick. They're expanding their services too. They're actually getting quite a bit more into video and all. The reason I did bring them in is I know a lot of photographers. However, these photographers happen to be based in the Tampa Bay area and in Fort Lauderdale area and can work both areas. So I wanted to make sure that we were hitting coast to coast in Florida. So check them out if you haven't had a chance. Wanted to thank them so much for coming on and speaking with us today. We got a lot of valuable information. If you didn't get a chance to see that session, I would suggest you go back and watch it. Taylor is a wealth of knowledge, and he's a great guy. The other one I wanted to show you is Box Brownie. I know it was brought up several times, but they can do quite a bit of different services for you. So this is just boxbrownie.com. Oh, by the way, while I'm talking here, feel free to please go ahead and put a comment in the comment section if you have any questions on any of the stuff that I'm going over. I will do my best to try to answer them. But this gives you some examples here of some of the things they can do, like this before and after image enhancement. It's $1.60 to have them redo the image with a little bit better lighting and stuff. You could probably do a lot of this stuff yourself. However, if you don't have the time and you're not an expert in this area or somebody who is even halfway decent with it, let somebody else do it. It's $1.60. I'm all big for leveraging it. Now, with that being said, just be very, very careful. Follow the MREA. You got the red light, green light you need to pay attention to. So you got to make sure that you can afford to be able to do this. Your business should be paying for this. So if you are a new agent and you're just throwing money at this to make it look good, you can find ways to make this work without having to spend money. You probably have stuff already on your cell phone that will do all this. You just got to learn how to do it. Then you can leverage it out once you've sold some properties. But you can see the background. Sky is a bit different in here. So they enhance the sky. They enhance the color and lighting in the photo. The grass also got enhanced. I'm not sure if that's going to be the best idea to always do because people get upset about that. But the rest of it, the sky and the color, I think that's awesome. We can also come in and see some of the different virtual staging that's going on. It makes a huge difference in that room right there between all that space. Same right there, decluttering, removing stuff that doesn't belong there. They can go through and do a lot of that stuff. A lot of this stuff too here that we're showing in this picture, we can actually do in Canva, which I'm going to come and show you here in just a little bit. Let's go to this next photo. Again, just dusk to dawn. They're adding in a different sky in there just to give that look. Also adding some lighting into the windows. And as Taylor said, having some landscape lighting would actually be very dramatic too. There's not a lot of space here for it, but still having it within the shrubs and all may have been very helpful. Go next. Whoops. Same thing here. We're doing another day to dusk. It's very dramatic in this one. That was a huge difference. Sorry. So I think that one actually looks way better with that dusk look. Can you do this in yourself? The day to dusk looks. You could. You absolutely could. There's plenty of software out there to replace the sky for you. It's just getting the lighting right. That lighting is not as easy to do as you may think. So you can see here they've already got their lights on, but they enhanced it within each one of the fixtures. They've got lighting coming through those windows. You can see in the windows better. Not the easiest to. In fact, a lot of times it's done with the layers. And I know how to work layers, and I still don't want to do that stuff sometimes. It's just a lot of work. They also added a fire in there in the fire pit. Anyways, these are things that don't cost a lot. This right here for this photo, to enhance one photo to the other, is $4. So it's an option to add to increase the look and feel of your photos, to get people to stop and look at them and invite them in. It's a lot more inviting picture right there. I do also want to point out the use of the plants. Notice these plants right here, they're in black pots. They're not exactly these big, beautiful plants. It still does the job, right? Just adding greenery, I think, to a space is always helpful. All right, so they do a lot of other things. And like it says here, they've got image enhancement, day to dusk, virtual staging, item removal, floor plans. We did talk about floor plans quite a bit during one of the sessions, and I do feel like this is something that if you utilize, it would be very, very helpful to anybody buying a house. I mean, it's so much easier to look at this and say, oh, I know what this house looks like, based upon this. And if there's a bedroom, like for example, this one says bedroom 4, bedroom 5. What if one of these bedrooms wasn't actually a bedroom, but it was a den / bedroom? At least it lets you know what that is and how that space is actually used rather than you just guessing from photos. So much more helpful. They've got renders for properties if you're doing any of the new homes or spec homes. They also have copywriting. So if you're not great at it, you could use this. However, they've also say it's got AI copywriting, which is free for them to do. But if you want somebody professionally to do this, $28. You can also just go to Google or Gemini.google.com or go to OpenAI and use that AI source, and I'll help you with that copywriting portion of it as well. Virtual renovation. This is very helpful. So seeing the difference between this property here, if somebody was to update it, what that would look like. So you can use that. The price on this can be somewhat pricey depending on how much you're having them do. Anyways, they got 360 tours, aerial tours. I've used them many times, and they have always been very good, and they have returned it quickly. And at the same time, if there's something I want changed on there because I don't like it, they've been able to do that as well. All right, so let's take a look at this one that was mentioned. This is Style to Design. Style to Design, it was created so that you can do many things in it. Actually, they have a membership. They also have reality staging and renovation and marketing. So you can schedule a demo with them. They'll walk through it. And as she was showing earlier, they have these pictures on here that shows the difference of them painting it. So this is what the house looked like before. This is what it looked like from painting it. That can be very dramatic and helpful in getting the home sold. Even if your sellers don't want to do the painting, you can show potential buyers what it could look like. Same thing with the kitchen. You've got the kitchen looking like this at the beginning, and then just by making these changes, what is it going to look like? They also have boards in there that you can have already set up so that, let me see if I can find that. Here's a membership. They've got individual memberships, teams, and enterprise. So it's $149 a month, and they've got access to unlimited staging boards. So the boards are, let me see if I can find anything on here about it, but the boards are nice because they've already got the looks done. So you want a coastal look or you want a farmhouse look, they've got that done with a board that, here's an example of some. So here's the looks with the colors, the flooring, everything, and they got these links on here. So you can just click on those links and it'll take you to purchase that exact item. So I was joking around before about the fact that maybe I'm not the best person to be putting colors on the wall because of mess colors. This gives you what looks go with what. Somebody's already professionally designed this for you, so all you got to do is plug and play. So this is an option for you. They also have it set up so that you could sell these to your clients. So if you wanted to make some additional funds, you could have a whole business just doing this part of it. You buy the board from them and then turn around and sell them to your clients. So I would take a look at this to see if this is something you could add into your repertoire when it comes to staging homes. They also have, again, like the reality stage, take a virtual staging to the next level with these reality stages. They're actually going to take that room and they're going to put those products right in there that you requested. So that's before. We changed the room with this board to that. Looks great. And Heather Kane and her team there have done a great job putting this together. If you wanted to and you haven't had them in your office, you could probably get a hold of her and she'd be happy to come soon by your office and do it. You can book us for a team meeting right there. All right, so let's take a look at one of the ones that I know that Julia had mentioned, which was virtualstaging.com. So you can come in here. They're 4.9 out of 5 stars. That they've got a 4 to 8 hour delivery time, 100% money back guarantee, and unlimited revision. So it's very similar to what Box Brownie has, just different site. So you can choose to use whichever one you want. But just an example of before and after. So there's after, there's before. All right. See, they've got virtual staging, 360 staging, image enhancement, item removal, virtual renovation, floor change. That's a little bit different. Wall change, Twilight, and floor plan renders. So they get a lot of the same stuff as Box Brownie. It's just another option for you, just in case you don't like one over the other. And then we've got Roomy, which is spelled with 3 O's. I tried looking this up before with 2 O's. It didn't come up. So make sure you got the 3 O's in there. And again, doing the same thing. So you got multiple services that do the same stuff. So you come in and play with them, kind of see which one you like the most, and you realize that one you could just have it be your go-to. See what they got Matterport virtual staging. So it's a little bit differently. So you've got the Matterport video that you're walking through, but what if it's an empty space and you want to have furniture in that empty space? They can do that part for you. It's a little bit different. I haven't seen that on the other ones. If there's anything else I can show you in here, we can go to pricing and order page. So we got virtual staging pricing, Matterport virtual staging pricing. We can get a look at it right there. All right. The other option is going to Canva. They've got all these videos and stuff that you maybe have your photographer doing, or the photos you have your photographer doing. If you want to add something to them, put it into some different resources, I do suggest Canva. Canva is a great resource for a lot of stuff, and it already gets the sizes already done for you. So you can just come in here and choose what kind of social media you're looking at. Like right now, I just typed in social media, and it came up with all these different mock-ups of different social media things. But let me just go ahead and change this a little bit, and I'll just type in real estate. Now, while I'm bringing this up, Canva is a partner of ours with Keller Williams now. They announced that at Family Reunion this past year, and they eventually at some point will be integrated with Command so that you can do some of the marketing that we currently do within designs within Canva. However, we still have a partnership with our current group in there, so we will keep that in there until that partnership is over, and then Canva will be replacing them. They are building stuff out for us. They will, if you've already got a membership to Canva, you can actually get 20% off that membership if you wanted to do so. Just send me an email to southfloриdartt@kriver.com, and I'll be happy to provide that information for you so you can get signed up and get that 20% off. And if you don't have Canva and you wanted to get that, I can send that to you as well, and you can go ahead and use it. It'll give you some benefits of getting 20% off, which is going to be about $100 for the year to use Canva, and they'll have templates and stuff, and the color swatches and stuff for Keller Williams is all going to be in there. So they have their brand kit all set up for Keller Williams, along with a bunch of templates that already got KW designs on them. So in here is just a bunch of social media for real estate for showing different listings. And all you have to do is take those photos that you've got and drop them in here, and you can make all these. I see so many people putting these designs on social media, and obviously you're a real estate agent. You're not a graphic designer. Most of you aren't. So use people who are doing this and doing it at high level and let them do the creativity work for you. And all you got to do is drop this in here. Like this is a very luxury looking. This is a great one to use. This one right here is very stylish, very nice. You can change the colors on it. So if you don't like the colors in there, you can easily change those colors. But I would suggest that you come in here and start using something like this with templates already set up, because it's just plug and play. You don't have to redo the whole design. They also have options in here. So here's 5 steps to staging your home to sell. You can just drop your information in there and put that out on there. Great information here right within Canva that you can utilize. Just sold, just listed. You can do videos in here as well. So it's not just the pictures. You can throw the videos in here. So all those TikTok videos that you see, you could do a TikTok video right from here. You could do a Instagram reel, anything you want. Feel free to go ahead and put that in there, and we'll get it taken care of as far as using some of the text that's already there, utilizing some of the graphics that are on here so you don't have to create yourself. It's all already set. So let's look at one for like a reel. Real estate. Instagram reel. So here you go. Bunch of them already prepared for you. All you got to do is put your information in here. Bunch of different slides that turns it into the actual reel. So you could use this template for all your homes. Throw a video in there, throw those little graphics in there. You don't have to do a whole lot. So let's actually go into this one and take a look at how to do that. I'll customize it really fast. It's got all these pops in here. So each one of these are different videos already set up. but they've got the graphics over top of them. You could even add one of the other graphics to something else. Look at this. So I know sometimes wearing Command and we have some issues where maybe it kicks us out for login issues or whatever. Same thing's happening in Canva. It's not it happens with Facebook, it happens with Canva. I just want to point that out that I've been having this for the past few days with Canva where it likes to kick me out and then I have to log back in. That's why this is showing oddly right now. I will continue to log back in. Sorry for the delay. All right, we're back in. So you can come back over here to the side again, and we'll type in real estate. So here's a whole bunch more of these templates over here. So if you decide you didn't like this, you can get this, or you could just add to this design from this design. So just keep in mind that these ones that say Pro right here mean you have to be a subscriber, so you can't use the ones with the crowns unless you are a subscriber. And I've gotten a few people texting me during this session already asking for that code. I will be happy to get that to you as soon as I get done here. But just utilize witness. We'll do myth versus fact. I can choose. I want to add this to maybe the end or the beginning. I can just drag it to the end though. There we go. So it'll play through here and it adds music. If I wanted to change music, the music's down here, so I could change it out. I can just come over here to audio and choose what song I want to put in here and move that song in here. So Michael Bublé shows up right there if I wanted that. So I haven't met this person yet, and I'd like to meet him. Anyway, play with this however you want. You don't have to be a graphic designer to do all this stuff. All you have to do is come in here and start clicking on things, and you can edit what it says in here. It even has magic write in here, which means it's using AI to help you write what you need to write. This says real estate edition. If you wanted to put your information here instead of this really great site, you could come in here and change it to Ryan and put my phone number down here. And that'll be it. I mean, tons and tons of uses for this when it comes to real estate. Have fun with it is the biggest thing. Be yourself. Always be yourself when you're doing this stuff. Don't try and be somebody that's not, because they'll see right through it. Those would be my biggest tips when you're doing this stuff. Fun and be yourself. All right, so I'm going to look at the comments here and see if we got any questions that I can answer for you. All right, I see. Is the Canva we get with Command the professional or the free? What you get in Command is nothing with Canva currently. Canva is a partner of ours, so they're giving us 20% right now, but they're not built into us yet. We still have a contract with WeBrand in our designs area, so we're going to hold that in place until their contract's up, and then Canva will come in. I'm not 100% sure on what that means as far as pricing at that point, but right now they're giving us 20% off of the Pro Edition, so it would cost about $100 for the year. If you don't have to pay for it, if you don't want to, you can still use it without it. You're just going to be missing a lot of these features in here. Anything that's got this crown on it, you're pretty much going to be missing. As far as whether we get it for free in the future, I don't know the answer to that yet. That may be something that they've worked on. They just haven't told us yet. I do know that they're building out a lot of stuff in the background right now for us, because right now the beauty of using designs in Command is it actually has KWLS in there, so it'll pull the photos and everything automatically into designs for you. They are building that out in Canva right now for us, so eventually we will have that in there as well, and then have it like more native within Command. But currently, unless you're paying for it, you're going to have the free version. And if you wanted to pay for it, you can get the 20% off and get the Pro version, which gives you unlocked all this stuff with the crowns on it. Which there's a lot in there. One of the biggest things in here is like even in videos, if I was to throw a video in here, I could use the. Let me see what I can get. This video. Grab a different video. So there's this person walking right here. And here's the highlights part is talking about over here. You can use highlights to cut out the best parts. So maybe you record this long video and you just want it to be the best parts of that video. It'll go and find the highlights and only put those in there so you can shorten up the video. So maybe you're doing a home tour. It'll go through that home tour and find out the best parts of that video and just put that together and make it into a quick reel for you. So highly suggest using that part of it, especially if you are a pro user, because that's available to you as a pro user. And that's somewhat new. Something else it can do is it can actually cut out the background for you. So if you're sitting there talking in front of you want to put yourself in front of a different background, you can absolutely do that. You just use the cutout video and then you just throw another video in the background, or just a picture in the background, however you want to do it. So that photo is showing right there of this lady. You could easily cut that whole background out and just have her there. All right, so I'm gonna, unless you guys have any other questions, I'm pretty much went over all the things that we talked about in today's sessions, and I am done. I will make sure that anybody who sent me a email or a text message regarding getting that number, the link to the 20% off, I'll send that over to you. But thank you guys very much for watching Take Command in June, and we look forward to July. In July, we're going to be talking open houses and showing. So we've been walking through the process of a listing all season this year, and we started with just listing appointments, how to get those listing appointments, how to show off at your listing appointments, and going all the way through marketing now. And then we've also gone into doing the pictures and the staging. Now we're going to go into how to present, how to get to an open house, like what the stages are for that open house, and to get the most people at your open houses, and then doing the follow-up for the open house, as well as doing a showing. So if you're doing a showing on your property, what does that look like? Some of you probably are masters at this. And if you are and you'd love to be featured on Take Command, please reach out to me. And if you have any other questions in that realm, please feel free to reach out to me so we can make sure that we answer your questions on there. But it will be on July 30th of next month, which is the last Tuesday, is where it always falls. So we look forward to seeing you on July 30th. You guys have a great week, and I hope you guys are prosperous. Bye, guys.
In Clearwater sun, where dreams take flight. I can't